disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He's just cute little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lomito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need BDA boxing.
All right. Hey. Welcome, everybody, to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the truest of norths. That's right, it's your host, Mr. BDA. I got Jimmy on the line already. Jimmy, you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Fantastic. Hey, look, good to hear from you, man. Good to talk to you. It's been
Good to hear from you.
It's been a while since
Been a
we've...
bit.
What's that?
You said been a minute.
Been a minute, yeah, man. I mean, we've been off the air for about almost a week, but hey, listen, we're back. We got a lot to talk about, a lot going on, so people stay tuned for that. We got a special show planned for you. And you know what? Before we get down to the fun, you know, the business, we got to get that out of the way. Don't forget to like. It really helps us out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Spread the BDA gospel. That's the most important thing. That's number one. And then number two, if you got a couple of shekels that you can send our way, you can certainly do so via the super chat, or you can join the BDA membership program where you can check out special film analysis. You get emojis and special badges, a whole bunch of perks as they call them. So check that out if you're so inclined. It really helps us out. Don't forget, you can also check us out on Spreaker, iTunes, and Spotify. So you can check us out there at your leisure. That's about it, really. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Like I said, we got a fantastic, and I do mean fantastic, show here. But before we do that, let's give a couple of shout outs here to the people. Because, of course, without the people, we are nothing. And, hey, we're men of the people and we speak for the people as well. So it's kind of like a two-way street there, two-way lane, a communication lane. Let's go to the comments here. Let's see who we got and see what people are saying about last night's fight. Devin Haney defeating Jojo Diaz by unanimous decision in what was a hard-fought 12-rounder. Let's see. GB Guthrie. Shout out to GB Guthrie. Shout out to Chris K, a.k.a. Undercover Asian. He says, crisp shots, good movement, good stamina, but no power and defensive holes. He got clipped over and over with the left overhand and lead hook. He's talking about Devin Haney. So, not so good punch resistance. All right. Shout out to Chris K. GB Guthrie. Shout out to GB. Says, Haney's the only fighter who leaves me with more questions than their last fight. After Gamboa, it was his power. After Linares, it was his chin. And after Jojo, it's his body durability. So weird. Yeah, they should call him the interrogation mark or something, because every time he fights, he leaves you with questions. Texas Bulldog, on the other hand, says pretty much confirms that Loma, Ryan, and Teo were all clearly Doc and Haney. Oh, all right. So there you have it. A lot of different types of comments. Shout out to Kid Top's Call. Ignorant Boxing, who says Devin isn't winning a close decision in Australia, and he doesn't have the power to hurt George of the Jungle. George of the Jungle. He better fuck around. He going to end up like Teofimo, all right? Trill Ballin says Jojo was tagging Haney and even buzzed him a couple of times. I don't want to hear that nonsense of Loma intentionally ducking him ever again. He would embarrass Haney. Shout out to Eparakua, Joseph Fuller, Jesus M, Official Scorecard Boxing. Shout out to Official. Eparakua with Wusika Fury, who says Haney looked terrible against a blown up featherweight. Iceman says he wasn't impressed. Shout out to Iceman. Shout out to Rusty Taylor, Wexford, The Quags, Eber Stellar, Brown Gun. Shout out to Brown Gun, Heretic, Mr. Coxie, and many more people to come. I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you dropping by. All right, let's start out. Jimmy, I'm curious to hear your comments. I haven't checked out your Twitter yet, and we actually haven't spoken in a couple of days. So, what was your impression of the Haney Jojo Diaz fight?
Well, this is going to kind of suck, dude, because now it's going to be like, oh, hey, is that dude who always shits on boxing? You know what I mean? Because I'm going to do it again, man. I going into that fight, I remember, if you remember what I said, I wasn't high on this fight to begin with because, honestly, I'm not high on Jojo Diaz at 135 especially. I mean, let's be honest, that kid ate himself out of 130. He has no business at 135. You know what it is? He knew he was tough enough to probably take most of those guys' shots. You know, he's got a good chin. But I expected actually the Haney to beat him even wider. So, again, the only answer fucking was answered for me was I'm even more convinced Lomachenko would dog walk that kid. Seriously. I think Chris K said it the best, man. Every fight, or whoever said that in comments about it was first, okay, you don't have power because you didn't even put down Gamboza, goes down like a fucking Kardashian on a douchebag, and then he got stoned in deer-legged when fucking Linares caught him. And then yesterday, man, I thought his defense wasn't nowhere near as good as I thought. He's kind of on a line. He's just not, I mean, and then you get on, Twitter, and this, before I even, the reason why I tweet, I was just incensed really by some of the comments, bro, and just the ridiculousness, because his fans are fanatics. And they're all like, of course, like, it has to fight Gamboza and he's the A side. And I'm like, wait a minute. So the kid who fucking had to beat Teofimo Lopez to earn his belts is the B side to a kid who had to beat traffic driving to the post office to pick his up. You know what I mean? Seriously? Like, that's fucking really where we're at now. And never mind the narrow thinking that only in the United States, it's world champion. I'm telling you right now, and way this kid Gamboza, who, let's be honest, I think there's one kid out in Nebraska he hasn't talked to so far about since he's been here, since his victory. That fucking kid every day, you know what I mean? He's just doing a media tour. He's got the personality. He's going to come home to huge fanfare. I'm telling you, that kid could probably pull in 50,000 people, 60,000 people, if they have the stadium in Australia to fill that. I'm sure they do. And, so it's in this narrow thinking that aggravates me. So I wish I wouldn't even went to Twitter because it kind of put me in a bad mood towards it all. But yeah, not impressed, dude. He's just not the guy. He's just not the kid people think he is. And that's just my opinion.
Well, I agree with everything you're saying there, Jimmy, more or less. I'll tell you what I liked about Devin Haney. Just to balance things out here a little bit. I like the fact that he does let his hands go. I like the fact that he doesn't run. He's not like Shakur Stevenson before the Herring. By the way, people are so hung up on the Herring fight. Like, wow, you see, he can't let his hands go. Yeah, when he was fighting a guy he wasn't afraid of. Let's see how he does when he fights Valdez or Burchelt or any of those guys. But with Haney, that's what I like. He let his hands go. And he's got a good gas tank. Now, I think partially that might be because of his large nostrils. I think he gets more oxygen intake than the average guy. Nevertheless, whatever the reason might be, the guy does have good stamina. And it allows him to let his hands go, and it allows him to catch. And this whole thing about him not having power, compared to Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, and even a guy like Lomachenko, yeah, he doesn't hit as hard as those guys, but he can whack pretty hard. I mean, I got to tell you, Jimmy, I liked Jojo Diaz's style. He did the best he could. He put his hands up, and he was trying to catch Haney with something in between his shots. And, he just doesn't have that type of work rate to outwork Haney, but he gave him a good, tough fight. Jojo Diaz is a good fighter. He beat Javier Fortuna. He did beat Tevin Farmer, so he's not a bum. But now I said the good, now on to the bad. He's a competent fighter, but like you said, I don't think he's that guy. They've been trying to compare to Floyd Mayweather since he turned pro, and it's just, there's one Floyd Mayweather. That guy's 1 in a million. Devin Haney is not 1 in a million. That's not to say he's not good, He's one in hundreds of thousands. That's pretty gosh darn good right there. But don't be surprised if he loses within the next 2-3 years. Right, Jimmy? I think that's what we're trying to say here. He's not invincible.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I honestly, if he was fighting even better guys, I think I'd be more convinced. But I think because if you look at the styles, you look at the kind of punches that were catching him, right, in the delivery, very similar to Tank Davis, right, in the delivery, in JoJo's delivery. And if he was out the end of catching those at the end of Tank Davis punches, he'd go out. His Tank is explosive. And even Lomachenko over time, I think, would rock him. In fact, I know he would. Like I said, I mean, he had to hang on for dear life. And it was, listen, anybody can get rocked, right? You can get, a little goofy legged if they catch you right on the button and a good shot. That's not a thing. Like, I'm not like, oh, man, the kid got a bad chin because of that. I carry it because he carried it into the next round. He stayed rocked for minutes. That's when you know someone's like, oh, okay, he didn't. It's not that somebody gets rocked. It's how they recover from it. Guys can get whacked, jump right back off their feet, go, all right, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Just because they can, because everybody's lights can get shut out for a split second or just enough to make you goofy. But if you come right back, like, I mean, all right, always go there, Mickey and a Toro. How many times both those guys were rocked? Like, whoa, like fucking, you know what I mean? The white flashlight and the fucking good push would have put them down. But they shake it off because they're tough and that's what they do. Those type of people. He's not built that way, right? And I don't know, man. Maybe as I'm gotten old, I can usually see it in people's eyes, man. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't in his eyes. He's just not a mean kid. He's just not a fighter. You know what I mean? He just can't take a beating. And I know that sounds silly, whatnot, but yeah, that's my theory on that. He's just not the kid. He's just not that guy. A lot of people think he is.
Well, I want to touch on that. Before I do, let me just give a shout out to Nicholas Arguros, who donated the super chat. Says every time JoJo hurt Haney, he let Haney recover. That's partially true, Nicholas. Thank you for your contribution. That's partially true. I also think you got to give credit to Devin Haney, who always managed to slip away and let his hands go. And JoJo Diaz is not the type of guy that, you know, like Jimmy said, Haney's not that type of, bite down on his gum shield and just go to war. JoJo Diaz is a little bit more than like it, but not by that much. And not for nothing, but he was taking a lot of... To fight with the earmuffs on, it looks easier than what it actually is. You got to stay focused, man. Because if you slip up for 1 second, you could get hit to the body, you could get hit on the top of the head, on the temple, and it just lights out.
The worst.
The worst, man. Fuck it. Well,
I hate
the worst
that. It's the worst way to fight, man.
And not for nothing too, Jimmy, right? If you're fighting with the earmuffs, it looks easy, right? But you're still getting hit in the arms, in the gloves. I mean, that wears your arms down too. It's difficult to keep that up.
You're putting yourself in a position, you're telling your opponent, okay, hit me. And again, someone who's, I mean, he would just, like you said, the arms, wow. If you're in close, get a few bicep shots, fucking dig one under the elbow. You could punch around the guard, smack the hand down. Punching a kid's hands into his face, you know. So I'm just not a big fan of that. I don't like that. But again, it's because he didn't have, let's be honest. And again, you like JoJo Diaz. He handled the loss like a true fucking, you know what I mean? You loved everything he said, especially, you know, since Lopez, and we got to touch on that at some point too. Some of the shit. You see that, Squeedy? Only athletes in capital letters, he wrote, can understand what I'm going through type shit. Like, no, understand the pressures of being, you know, it's like, yeah, because people in working 9 to 5 don't understand that. You fucking dick. Like, yeah, shit, just we'll get on that later. But yeah, so, and again, I really like JoJo Diaz. It's just he's not a fucking lightweight. He doesn't have the frame. If you look, he just basically pudged out to get up to there. He ate himself out of the 130s. And even at 130, he didn't have big pop. At 135, he's just not going to hurt these guys. I mean, did you see him beating anybody in the top fucking 7 in 135? I don't.
Well, yeah, when they announced the Ryan Garcia fight, which was supposed to have taken place about a couple of months ago, I said, no, Ryan Garcia's beating him. I'm not saying JoJo doesn't put up a good fight, but I'm saying, like you said, he's out of his weight class. He's pudgy, like you said. He's way too short. He gave it a good go. He fought about as good a fight as he could have fought from a technical standpoint. But just, you know, He didn't have the firepower. From the get-go, nobody really thought he was going to win. He didn't have superior hand speed, superior firepower. He didn't have the height. He didn't have the reach. There was just no way he was going to beat Devin Haney. But shout out to Jojo. He did give him a very good fight. That's for sure. Also, I want to...
I would have thought Garcia. I actually was looking forward to the Garcia Jojo Diaz fight because of Jojo being more, seasoned. It would have been another good test for Garcia, and it would have shown if his power was for real. Because the person who stops Jojo Diaz is going to be someone who hits hard. And I'll tell you right now, if Garcia would have stopped him, that would have showed that kid's power is totally legit. So that's why I was looking for that. The minute they announced it was this, they went to this. To me, it was because I knew it was going to play out like it did. And I'll tell you right now, Shakur is a much closer to being that guy than fucking Haney is, without a doubt.
Absolutely, man. But we're going to get to those fantasy matchups, so the potential matchups that could arise from here. I just want to give a shout out to Jose M. Severino Jr., who says Haney is a good flashy boxer, but he ain't no Mayweather. He's more like Caleb Plant. That's a very good comparison, or apt way of putting it, rather. It's again, that doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. It just means he's no Floyd Mayweather. Now, some people are saying, yeah, but he's only 23, 24. He could improve. Maybe he improves. Maybe he proves us wrong. For the moment, he's not a 24-year-old Floyd Mayweather. So shout out to Jose for his contribution. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat as well. Says, Haney landing clean shots all night long. Couldn't visibly hurt Diaz until maybe halfway through round 12. Not a bad fighter, but the hype train makes me dislike him. And that's what happens with a lot of people, Chris. Thank you for your contribution. It's the Lomachenko too. People say, well, we hate him because ESPN was hyping him up. Well, guess what? That ESPN is hyping Shakur Stevenson up as well. The Zone is hyping up Devin Haney. That's what these people do. And it pisses sometimes it does tend to aggravate boxing fans. And finally, shout out to Jose Severino again for his contribution to Super Chat. Says Jojo at 135 is like Mikey Garcia at 147. That's a good way of putting it, man. That's a good way of putting it. He's like the Mikey Garcia. He's out of his element at 135. He can compete with these guys and beat some of them as long as they're about the same height as he is. All right, now, Jimmy, let me ask you this, man. Right now, the lightweight division is an interesting habitat because Teofimo Lopez says he's going to move out of the division, although we never know. Like I said before, I think he might change his mind at some point. Say, one more fight at 135, whatever. But for the moment, it seems like let's consider him out of the picture, right? So what's the biggest fight to be made here at 135? Ryan Garcia versus Haney? Tank Davis maybe at 135?
I would say, honestly, the one, well, I'm going to be biased. The one I'd like to see would be Lomachenko, Gambosis in Australia, in Sydney. At the half shell or something, some big crazy event out there. I think that would be great. And it depends on how he looks against Comey. You know what I mean? And if he looks like we expect him to look, you know what I mean? I mean, just think about, right, in the years, if he comes after, Comey, if he looks good, the difference in a year where Lopez is, I mean, somebody's going to take away that kid's Twitter account. Just take his phone from him. Seriously, man. It's like, I really want to ask Steve Kim if he calls, because I know he talks with Bob a lot, find out, does he have in his contract, does he get bonus pay for like an alienation, fucking to alienate, the more fans you alienate, the more money you get? Does he get like a bonus plan for that? Like the shit he comes up with, it's like he sits at home and says, how can I really say something stupid just to piss off more fans? It's actually crazy. It's almost like he's a sadist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy.
He gets it from his father, I'm going to go ahead and assume. And you're right. I mean,
yeah, but that's my fight. That's my thing for the biggest fight. I'd like to see that. I thought that'd be a great fight.
Jimmy, I thought all these top fighters had publicists that told them what to say and what not to say. You have to wonder if maybe...
I think they used to back in the day when it was more covered by mainstream. That, I'm sure Sugar Ray Leonard did. sure he had a team of people because, I mean, he was on fucking commercials. He was doing daytime talk, on TV. I mean, boxing was much different, looked at as much different as I'm sure some of the older guys who listen can attest to, man. It was just totally different back then. They were treated different.
Yeah. And Leonard was notorious for always thinking about what he said to maintain his image. As well, he should have, because when you got that many sponsors, especially now in today's climate, you got to be careful what you
He was the first golden boy.
Exactly, yeah. Hey, shout out to...
That's actually what they call him.
Shout out to Nicholas Arguros, who says Jojo is an even better showcase fight for Ryan now. That would be kind of a... Shout out to Nicholas for his contribution. Jimmy, wouldn't that be a bit of a letdown? Diaz...
Well, if Diaz fought Garcia next...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he would... If, say, Garcia, then it's... Okay, how did I handle my fight? If Garcia goes out and stops Diaz, I'm not saying he would, but if he did, then obviously that puts a big onus on, oh shit, he's the dude with the power of the two.
That's true.
And I suspect his power to be real too. I think the kid does hit hard. It's just, I think he's a mental patient. So unfortunately, it's just never going to probably play out right.
Yeah, that's another dude, Ryan Garcia, well, if we can even call him a man, who has to watch out for that curse that all these people are falling, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are falling victim to, thinking you're the best, thinking you're the ace because you got one win, and then all of a sudden you come back after a year plus layoff, whoopsie-daisy. Life can be rough when you're coming back from all that time off. Shout out to Chinese Yoda. Mr. Pigeon says, Devin the Malinaji Haney. Oh, come on. He's not quite the powder puff puncher that Malinaji is. And I'm going to go ahead and say that if a guy is careless and jumps in there, Haney could take him out. But he's not. I mean, I would dare say even Floyd Mayweather. Oh, definitely Floyd Mayweather. At 130, 135, he was a bigger puncher. So shout out to Chinese Yoda. And shout out to... Hold on a second. K-Not for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, the pillow fight last night made me cringe. Both these guys couldn't rock a baby to sleep. These people are a bunch of... Man, everybody's got a bunch of one-liners here. Every time they do a Super Chat. The pillow fight last night made me cringe. Both these guys couldn't rock a baby to sleep. Jojo landing flush, couldn't break an egg. Go back to 130. Jimmy, what is that about too? Because I was watching that fight with Bucho and he said the same thing. He said, these guys can crack for shit. I mean, they can get each other's respect, but when they're landing flush that way and they're not even wobbling each other, safe to say they're no Teofimo Lopez or Ryan Garcia, right?
Yeah, they don't punch through their targets. Haney does a little bit more than Diaz, but he just doesn't punch through his targets. Some guys just can't shake that amateur style. You know what I mean? Like, because in the amateurs, they don't put the onus on a knockdown is no different than a jab to the face as far as the judges are concerned, right? Is a point. So, train to fucking knock people out. It's not what amateurs are about. Some guys just never really shake that. They never learn that pro style. It took fucking Lomachenko that lost. That's why I say he might, everybody, he lost. I'm like, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to that kid.
That's right. And, Jimmy, while I was watching the fight, you mentioned Lomachenko, Haney. The fight that came to my mind, because of the dimensions of the opponent, wasn't necessarily Lomachenko versus Haney. It was actually the guy who's going to be fighting today, Tank Davis. Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. Tank Davis is about 5'6", I think, and supposedly Jojo's 5 feet and 5.5. So they're about the same. If it were to happen today, let's say, or next, let's say it would happen next. Let's say Tank Davis beats Isaac Cruz, which is not a given. Davis versus Haney. How do you see that one going?
Tank would knock
all
him
day.
out. Yeah, I believe so. And if he was fighting, if he was with the real promoter instead of somebody who I've given some thought to that, seriously. I mean, think about, just real quick, man. Because, all right, so if he's fighting like even Cruz, this would have been a decent enough fight. I guarantee Steven Espinoza would have picked that up. But then instead of, even if say he sells 100,000 pay-per-views tonight, which I don't think he'll do much more. But even at that, he's going to make, as a promoter, substantially more than he would as a slice of a Showtime package, like they buy certain fights, and it would have been nowhere near as lucrative. So if you really think about the fucking nefariousness of this, he's purposely tanking, no pun intended, this kid's career, turning him into a fucking Twitter meme just because he wants to make a bigger slice off him because it's the only fighter he has. Meaning he has to put him on pay-per-views. The reason why he has to, because in order he's paying, and again, everybody thinks he's paying Tank exorbitant money. Do you know what his base salary, his guarantee is tonight? $1 million. That's it. That's the only thing he's guaranteed. Everything else is off the pay-per-view. So it's one of the good sites has him guesstimated to make between like 2.3, 2.5 million tonight. So he's not making these big dollars that everybody thinks he's making either. But yeah, so, but it just kind of really fucking shows you like he lets it slip. See, the thing with Mayweather, right? He doesn't edge his words, doesn't watch what he says, and he'll let shit slip the same way when he stupidly said we're only keeping everything in-house. When he said, well, what I do is I took him out on my big yacht and we went to the fucking Riviera or whatever. And, and I'm sure he had like showing a kid from Baltimore who never had anything, right? I mean, if he had a bed to sleep in, that kid was fucking, happy. And you're showing in this kid all that stuff and, this can be yours, dude, man. Don't worry if people hate you. Because, and the reason why I say don't worry about people hating you, I know for a fact, just by the things this kid's tweeting and deleting, like, after December 5th, I'm not a boxer anymore. All these fucking people, come talk this shit because he sees it. He sees every time LB tweets about him, he's getting ratioed with the fucking dude ain't fighting anybody. I mean, Davis can tweet about anything, random, arbitrary shit, and people are on him about who he's fighting. So that's playing on him. How can it? So I'm sure that's been a contention. Like, man, what's going on? Maybe I'm pretty sure he wants to fight people, and Floyd's getting him on the yacht. No, man, this is what you do. Make people hate you. They'll buy your pay-per-views. And that the whole time he only gives a fuck that when this kid retires, right, he's gone. Nobody will even remember him. He doesn't care about this kid's legacy. He's just worrying about the extra few dollars. And that's the facts. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Yeah, some people are saying that and I think you've said it yourself, Mayweather seems to be living through Davis, but at the same time is jealous in a way, or envious, not jealous, envious, meaning if he can't have the glory, then neither will Davis. And it seems like he wants to, there's a potential that he could sabotage. Again, we don't have any proof, but this is what people are speculating on, that Mayweather
every time something happens, dude. Anytime there's a big boxing run, every time Canelo fights, remember for the first few years after he retired, especially every time there was a pay-per-view, he'd make some announcement that weekend to get and then speaking of Canelo, I mean, look at this shit he's been tweeting, talking about Canelo. It's like, okay, your guy's fighting tonight, knucklehead, and you're running your mouth about Canelo Alvarez. And if you want to get the fucking truth, by the time Canelo Alvarez was his age, and another thing, he's one of the kids. Like, everybody kind of puts Davis in with the fucking,
the four queens.
All the younger guys, right? The four queens, right? And he's 27 years old. By the time Canelo's 27, he fought Mayweather. Fucking, you go down to all the fucking people, Lara, I mean, just Trout, Triple G even, by the time he was 27 the first time. So it was so asinine that it was obvious what he was doing. This fight sucks because I know Isaac Cruz is tough. He's one of those pit bull type kids, typical Mexican, is not going to back down. But he's only had one stoppage in his last 5 fights. I watched him run. Did you watch the last Showtime last Saturday, right? They had fucking, oh my God, the 30-30 type thing with him. And I watched him run in track. Fuck, somebody tweeted out, it was, I've seen rabbis with better athleticism. Dude, this kid's not an athlete.
We're gonna get
He's just tough. I think Tank's going to work him, but
we're going to get to that fight. We're going to get to that fight, but
that's a whole nother fight. Yeah,
yeah, because we still got to finish here with Devin Haney. Shout out to GM Strong, by the way, for his contribution with the super chat. Says Devin can be backed up to the ropes and be put in an uncomfortable position. Jojo, if he had a powerful left, would have given Haney more problems. Indeed. That's the way I looked at it, I thought sometimes he wasn't as elusive as I thought. Now, props to Diaz because he's a seasoned fighter himself, but you got to wonder how he would do against the pressure. Like if like I said, if Tank Davis fought him and he started pressuring him, Would Haney really be able to outcircle him?
No way. Yeah, that's why after last night, that's what convinced me watching that fight that Tank would knock him out, because Tank, he'll throw, looping overhand rights, he'll throw those uppercuts, and he throws with bad intentions. He got a lot of anger behind his punches, man, and he wants to hurt you every time he hits you. And it is what it is. I think Tank would just really rock him. I think Tank would rock him.
A lot of anger. He's got a lot of denied bank loans on those fists of his, and he wants to take him out on somebody.
Plus, he's facing a lot. He's facing some decent felonies. I'm sure that's not making him too happy.
Well, that's what I wanted to say too. When you said $1 million, I said, "Whoa, that's actually pretty good." Some people make 100,000 when they're back in the ESPN Friday Night Fights days. 100,000. But then again, I started thinking, well, wait a minute, $1 million when Leonard Ellerby's saying that this guy is the next big star compared to Canelo. Or he already is boxing's big star, and he's making $1 million.
It's the fucking nebulous descriptors. Come and watch boxing's most exciting fighter. Like all these things, you can't. How do you qualify that? You can't, because he can't say world champion. Although they do say, but I mean, let's be honest. He fights for fucking trinket belts. He goes and he's been knocking off fucking no hopers for baby belts. That's what he's been doing. Keeping himself in line to backdoor real title, Ella Haney style. And then he'll ride it off to the biggest payday for Floyd he could.
See, that seems to be the safety first, make a lot of money plan that they have him on. Shout out to Slight Tendencies for his contribution with the Super Jazz. I stopped taking Ambien and started watching Haney. I'm telling you, Jimmy, we got them all today, man. Well,
to your point, dude, it was 18 head-to-head championship fights, top-ranked fighters against, I'm not too sure it was championship, but head-to-head top rank against PBC. It's 4-18, 4 wins, 18 losses. So obviously the PBC, his philosophy isn't working right. Never mind the pay-per-views when it's just PBC guys are not spectacular either, by no means.
Yeah, and we don't even know exactly if we can even take those numbers at face value when they release them. Shout out to Jose Severino Jr. via the Super Chassis. Cambosos should call out Garcia if Garcia doesn't land that crazy left hook. Cambosos will win and he can lose in peace, saying to himself that he took the 0 out of 2 out of the Kings. Garcia is the weakest link. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you know what? But then Garcia has to come back and make something happen. He can't just come back and start demanding Cambosos or anything. Like right now, Devin Haney has more of a claim to the Cambosos crown. Maybe even Lomachenko if he beats Comey, depending on how he beats him as well. So we got to see how that goes.
You know what he's got going for him? The Canelo connection. I mean, fucking WBC does not want to lose Canelo again. He told them once to go fuck themselves, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that never happens. So, I don't know, would Canelo? Maybe not, because Canelo's come out and actually, kind of shit on him publicly, saying the kid's got to take it more serious. So, if I don't think Canelo probably tell him, fuck you, dude, earn your shit. And he does, you're 100% right. He cannot come back demanding shit.
He cannot, man. He cannot. That would be insanity. That would be the utmost narcissism at play in boxing for him to come out and Ryan Garcia is cringe, man. His whole act outside the ring when he was on that Mike Tyson show and he was talking to Tank Davis and he was doing an awful Muhammad Ali impersonation. You can't beat me, boy. You can't beat me, boy. I'ma knock you out, boy. It's like, oh, sit the fuck down. The only reason why nobody said anything is because he's the guest and they're all high as fuck in that Mike Tyson show. But I was cringe. I couldn't watch that, man. I couldn't watch Ryan Garcia making an ass out of himself, as Alec Baldwin would say. You have made an ass out of myself.
Well, he's a kid from fucking Rosito or some fucking, nice neighborhood, right? And, and he's just trying to talk gangster and shit. It just comes across, just doesn't play out well.
No, it doesn't, man. No, it doesn't. By the way, we're going to be opening up the phone lines soon, and we got Gonzalo dropping by. Gonzalo, you there?
Hey, what's up, BDA?
How you doing, Gonzalo?
My man, what's up?
From Reseda. He's from Jesus. I used to go there all the time. I bought a dog there. It's close to where I was stationed at in the military, or by Barstow, California.
But it's not the hood, is it? Because I was totally guessing, dude. I have no idea where he was from, but I heard it wasn't the hood.
It's somewhere by Barstow, California. It's like the high desert area. I forget the fucking name. It's right under my tongue, but I can't think of it. I just woke up.
Yeah,
Anyways, what's up, guys?
What's up, Gonzalo? Good to have you on board. Listen, we're talking about. You saw the JoJo fight, right, against Haney last night?
Yeah, I sure did.
Didn't you think that was about as good a fight as JoJo could have fought, and that he was never going to be able to beat Devin Haney?
Yeah, I was kind of joking in the Discord. You said it all along. You know that the skills that he brought to the table compared to Devin Haney's, that's the best that he was going to do. Now that was kind of a mirage on both sides, because look, this guy Jojo Diaz, just the same as like a Ryan Valdez, they're trying to fight like a Canelo. And when was ever Jojo Diaz a power puncher?
Exactly.
So he was pushing back Devin Haney, and Devin Haney was acting like fucking like a hard counter puncher, a fighter that doesn't throw shots, but on the back foot, try to look for that one shot to offset the other guy's pressure. So it's kind of like a mirage on both sides. One guy's not a Golovkin and another guy's not a fucking Canelo. And I'm talking about Jojo trying to play that Canelo role, kind of like Valdez. Mm-hmm. You know, hook, come forward, close the distance, and Haney trying to play that role of a counter puncher. But, you know, usually counter punchers, they can crack hard. They're just waiting for you to make a mistake. And when they counter you and they can get you hurt, that's when they'll pounce on you. But neither is Haney a hard counter puncher, and neither is JoJo like a Canelo, like he's just stalking forward, put that pressure to try to break you down. When was he ever?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's he fought about as good. And by the way, I thought the guy who landed the cleaner shots was Jojo Diaz. Now, he didn't land as many clean shots, but because Devin Haney was the one that was constantly letting his hands go, and you know that the judges are impressed by that. But Haney, Joe fought a smart fight. Like I said, he was punching in between. What's his name? Haney's punches, and he was snapping his head back. But Devin Haney was just much more active. I do like.
What did you score, PDA?
You know, I don't score the fight sometimes when I watch him. I
okay,
score.
All right, yeah, no, I hear you. Second time sometimes.
How did you have it, or like on the eye test or whatever?
I kind of went. I think I was trying to be generous to JoJo because I think he's a nice kid. But yeah, I think I like 9-3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the judges got it right.
9 rounds, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, the judges. Anyway, I think unanimous on majority of the rounds. So they were pretty. And that's what you want to see: consistency in judging.
You know, Gonzalo, as I was watching the Garcia, as I was watching the Devin Haney Jojo Diaz fight, it wasn't so much Lomachenko that came to my mind against Haney. It was Gervonta Davis who's going to be fighting tonight. If they were to fight today, Gervonta Davis and Haney, who would you give the edge to? Who would you pick, rather?
Well, you know, I'm mentioning one time again, like how a lot of these fighters nowadays, they try to fight like a Canelo. And it takes more than confidence. It takes, abilities, confidence, and it takes punching power. And Canelo's not the heaviest-handed fighter with going upstairs, but, you know, he does enough to hurt his opponents where he believes himself he does well. And basically what I'm trying to say, others try to fight like him. But if there was one guy that fights similar to Canelo, and he's mentioned it, I'm like the little Canelo, it's Tank Davis because he's got the power. So if he's the one that's coming forward, and what I'm saying by that is I'm not throwing, 30 punches per round, but I'm throwing like just enough to back you up, start gauging the distance where I'm punching in between your punches, and all of a sudden I'm landing where I wasn't before. Because we saw that with Haney when Jojo Diaz, as the rounds progressed, he started finding the target because he was honing into his target. So this was what I'm saying. With Tank Davis, he's able to close the distance. And if he was missing, let's say, for example, early, but then all of a sudden he started catching fucking Haney, that power would pay dividends. It would be the game changer. And that's why I think that you seen that preoccupation look on Davis Haney, this fight. You saw it last time with Linares. There's a reason for that because he's feeling the power, and he's feeling the power of fighters that don't hit that hard. So just imagine what would happen with Tank Davis.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, and I'm not just saying this based off the Kambosos fight or the Kambosos result. If Haney and Lopez would have fought even before the Kambosos fight, I would have given Haney a good chance because of his boxing skills and his jab. But I remember Steve Kim said that after the Linares fight, when Teofimo Lopez's team saw that fight, apparently they became very interested in suddenly fighting Devin Haney. Now, of course, that never happened because of things we know, whatever happened there. But the fact is that these lightweights, like you said, they both have holes here and there. One guy can punch hard, but he's got better skills. The other guy doesn't have as good skills, but he can punch hard. The other guy doesn't have a chin. And the reason why I keep bringing up Tank Davis versus Devin Haney is because did you guys see that, what was it, 6th round, 4th round? I forget which one, where Jojo threw a straight left and bent Haney over. And I said, God damn, he punched through the target there. And I said, imagine if Tank Davis goes after him like that and just starts digging to the body.
Right.
Do you think Devin Haney could take it? Or
no, I don't think so. And that's the reason, because you can be elusive for so long, but he's got the look, and you get the sensation that he knows like the storm is coming. He's got that preoccupied look, and that you're only gonna be successful for so long until the other fighter catches up to you. That's the feeling that I get with Haney, and especially like the legs. The legs aren't all there either, And we saw Tank Davis do it to Barrios, where maybe he wasn't scoring. He was like close on the cards, but when he had to step it up, and he was punching in between Barrios' punches, he was catching him. So I'm saying every fighter has his moments, and with Tank Davis, he also got skills too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And look, the Quacks in the chat says Haney's going to get exposed pretty soon. He's going to get knocked out when he faces someone that can punch. Gonzalo, Jimmy and I were talking about this. It's not so much that he's going to get exposed, because we already know where he stands. He's very, very good. But I don't see him reaching the top of the mountain when it comes to pound for pound. Would you agree or disagree with that, Gonzalo?
That's Devin Haney?
Right.
No, because he's between a rock and a hard place. One, for now, at 35, if he doesn't put on an exciting performance, people are going to criticize him. If he puts an exciting performance and trades shots or goes for the kill, he's always vulnerable and susceptible to get hurt, like he did against Linares. And now a little bit of the same with with Jojo, who's not really a power puncher. So I mean, if he goes up in weight, it's kind of the same, but it's a little bit more like exacerbated in the sense that he's going to probably punch less, and he's in the same position, once again, between a rock and a hard place. And those guys are killers at 40. And they're coming for you. They're not going to take a step back. They're going to get theirs too.
That's right. It's a good way of putting it, Gonzalo. It's bigger power. A lot of these guys are lucky that Josh Taylor was moving up. But even then, if I think Prograis fought at 147, but if he goes back to 140, he's a big problem for anybody. Ramirez is a big problem for any of those dudes. Cepeda, who can crack. Postal, if he's still around. Even though I think he's closer to 40 now than 30 to his 30s. Be that as it may, there's some good, tough fighters at 140. Shout out to Knot for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Haney lit up Jojo's body and couldn't slow him down. I tell you what, I'll repeat what I said, and shout out to Knot for his contribution. I liked Devin Haney's stamina. He did not look all that tired, even though he was getting backed up and he was letting his hands go. But I tell you what I don't like, man, like Jimmy said, after the Linares fight, some people said, "Oh, come on, he's supposed to clinch after he got hurt against Linares. He's supposed to clinch. That's what happens when you get hurt. You clinch." We never actually on this show disputed that. What we were concerned about, what we were criticizing for, was the fact that he couldn't shake off the cobwebs even after 2 rounds. He never got hit with that big right hand again as cleanly in the aftermath of the 10th round, but he was still holding on. And then there's that clip that I've got. I might put it here if I find it, where he actually lunged at Linares from about 2 feet away and grabbed him by the waist. It was embarrassing the way he did it so blatantly. And you saw a little bit of that too against Jojo Diaz. Once he had to get a little bit of a rest, he would just try to jump over the shorter Diaz and try to lean on him. And at some point, Diaz almost body slammed him against the canvas because that's what he was doing. So the clinching and all that, not a big fan, but that's usually what they teach you in a lot of these American gyms. Like, hey man, do what you got to do to win. No ifs and buts about it.
BDA, I think he got a little shell shock from the Linares experience. Because when we saw that Linares wasn't letting his hands go, but when he did, he was trying to time Haney to punch it between his shots, and he caught him the few seconds remaining at the end of the round. And ever since that, when he walked to his corner, and he was he didn't have his legs under him. ever since I think that, he's got that look like, he's worried, especially with the style like JoJo, when he was marching forward, taking shots, but eventually you're letting your hands go and the other guy's still marching forward. You know that something's coming down his way, and so it's only like a matter of time. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, he's catching me. I'm letting my hands go. I can't hurt him, but he's still coming forward. Eventually, in your mind, you're thinking, all right, he's going to catch me. So he's got that, psychologically, I think you can tell that it's very apparent that that's what's going on in his mind.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Jimmy, what do you think about that? Because I thought he handled it pretty well. I mean, he came out of it. But then to Gonzalo's point, JoJo isn't really a puncher. What do you think about that? Do you think Devin Haney showed a little bit of frustration in there last night? Or? Well,
I don't think I agree with everything Gonzalo said, and I don't think Haney. JoJo hits hard enough that Haney still could have went for it a little bit more, because it was clearly, if he wanted to, he could have went more. But obviously, those punches were keeping him honest. JoJo Diaz's punches were keeping him honest, and I don't think the kid has the power 135 to keep that honest. To keep people honest, and he did with him. Like, I put it this way: if JoJo Diaz was to fight Lopez, was to fight Tank Davis, those guys I believe they'd knock him out pretty easily. Actually, he's a small dude. Again, he doesn't belong at that class. That's just my opinion.
Well, listen, time will tell with JoJo Diaz. Like I said, he did what he had to. He won most of the rounds. I thought it was a relatively comfortable fight for him, except in certain spots where he was hit clean with shots, and it makes you wonder what would happen. Because when he fought Linares, I forget if the Linares shot was on the chin or if it was on the temple. But if it was on the temple or somebody else, it shows that he's a little bit vulnerable to those type of shots. And against a guy like Garcia or Davis or even Lomachenko, he hits you on the top of the head, or they hit you on the top of the head, it'd be a problem. By the way, fellas, I'm opening up the phone lines here, so if you want to call in, give us your thoughts on JoJo Diaz or Montana Love, who fought on the undercard, who wearing the sombrero and the fucking little pit bull. It was a little bizarre. He failed to make weight.
Little mug dog, yeah, he had a little mug.
Yeah. Did you see when he won and they were gonna, the referee's gonna raise his hand? He had the dog and his daughter in both arms. He actually dropped his daughter and took the picture with the dog instead of with the daughter. I thought that was a little. That was a little weird.
Well, that's his angle. That's his promotional angle, right? I mean, think about it. It's going to make people remember him. People are talking about it. So everybody's got a kid. So out goes the kid. That was
absolutely, yeah.
Those dogs are kind of expensive. Not just those, but that's almost like a French bulldog because of the color. But it's really like what's the word? Not a deformity, or like in the genes where the color's like that, because it's not supposed to be. I mean, how am I trying to word it? Yeah, it's. That's all it is. People got like something with that color that they find it interesting, but it's actually
they call them designer dogs, right? They breed certain to get like they call poodles and like they have these weird names. Yeah, no, I'm saying they have these weird names now. They connect two dogs, and like I just saw a bunch of ads on that the other day of dogs. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying about that dog. I thought it was a mug. No, it wasn't a mug. I really wasn't paying too close attention by that point.
Yeah, who knows? But it was just bizarre that the guy didn't make weight. Then he goes with the old gimmick of putting on the Mexican flag and then the sombrero. It's like, all right, that old time.
Yeah, that's played out.
Thing. And
so that, yeah.
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, so that guy, I mean, before he wasn't really known for his power because they keep mentioning it on the telecast. But now he knocked out Baranchik, and he knocked out Baranchik, and now he knocked out this guy. With the Baranchik thing, that dude was probably like damaged goods because he got knocked out by Cepeda, probably like in devastating fashion. And with this guy, it's kind of like Castillo Corrales. He fucking missed the scales by 4 pounds. So you saw the first fight with fucking Castillo Corrales. That was a good fight, but 4 pounds over the limit, that makes a world of a difference, as evidenced by example that I just gave you. So I'm basically saying, watch out for that guy because it's a little bit of a mirage.
And imagine being Eddie Hearn, signing him off that fucking knockout, thinking, this kid's got what it takes, and they gave him. Supposedly, they were furious with the kid that he came in 3 pounds because that's not you. All right, You couldn't even claim a half pound. That was water weight. You had a bad reaction. You took on too much water the night before. You just couldn't shed it, right? That 3 pounds says, fuck it, I didn't even try hard.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. That's not a good thing for a kid with that many. You just got signed to a promotion. And another thing, the zone, the suck fest, those guys were licking each other. It was just the kiss-ups. And can I ask another thing with the zone? Why are they spacing these fights out? They're not pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Like, they're not waiting. Like, you see them do that in pay-per-views because they're trying to get more people, put off that fucking last fight as long as possible, get more buys. That's not the case with this. Why the fuck is there so much time? That's just terrible. But it's kind of mirage because they kept talking about how tough this kid Diaz was, right? They kept talking about the one thing you expect from him is toughness. That kid went down almost every fucking shot he hit him with. Never mind that stoppage was total bullshit. If I was Diaz, I probably would have smacked the fucking ref. That was one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. He wasn't even making contact with the dude.
Yeah, that seems to be one of those. People were talking about the Anthony Yard versus what's the other guy's name? Arthur. Arthur, yeah, and they said that was a British stoppage. Well, this was more or less the zone stoppage. So we'll see what happened there, man. Well, I mean, I want to look at that. By the way, I forgot to say the phone lines are open. We got a couple of phone calls here, so we're gonna take them. But I can't believe I forgot to say, shout out to Punch Drunk. I don't know if we're late to the party in announcing this, but most people already know that he got into apparently a pretty serious car accident. But the good news is that he's okay. He's out of the ICU. So from what I understand, what people are saying, he's out of the ICU. He's not gonna. He looks like he's gonna be okay, but still prayers to Punch Drunk. Hope he recovers.
Yeah,
well.
man.
And,
yeah, I heard about that Mr. Moonshine. I've never talked to him, but I followed. I see him. I've saw enough of him on YouTube. That sucks. I hope he bounces back from that.
Yeah, it sounds like he's gonna be okay. The fact that he's out of the ICU. Now, some people are saying it's fake news. I mean, how would you know if it's? People talk to the family apparently. People talk to his family on the phone, so it's not exactly. I wouldn't say.
So what does he go fucking dark on social media to plan like the fake just for support? Is that what people are trying to say? I don't know. Man, people are scandalous.
Listen, and prayers do work. I am adamant about that. Prayers work. Some people say about, well, these studies show that they're not the prayer doesn't work. But blah. Hey, read up on the placebo effect, and then tell me that you can't. If you change a mindset, you can't heal yourself. All right. But I wanted to say too. Somebody's in the chat said, "Oh, come on, Devin Haney doesn't have. It's not about whether he got hurt. It's about the recovery." Well, let me show you this little clip here. I always got a handy. If you guys can watch on your screen, Gonzalo and Jimmy, because I'm not sharing the screen. So if you go on YouTube, you can see it. Look at this recovery here. This 2 rounds after he got hurt. Look at Haney's. Wow, look at that. Perfect recovery. He looks like he's trying to go for his dick or something. Sorry to be so crude, but I mean, it is what it is. He looks like he wants to gobble on that a little bit. Look at that. Yeah, great recovery.
Yeah, there's no doubt he was rocked. He was rocked in that next. He come out still rocked.
That's 2 rounds after he was rocked, and he's still going for the clinch right away like that. That was look. If you think he doesn't have chin issues at this point, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's the evidence right there shows that he wasn't able to shake it off even after 2 rounds. All right, let's go to the phone calls here. See who we've got. Always enjoy the phone calls. You never know who's gonna call in. All right, let's go to 404. You're on the air. 404. What's on your mind? Yes, 404. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Doing fantastic, man. What's on your mind?
All right, Devin Haney is overrated. That's basically what's on my mind. Yeah. Basically, when I saw what I saw last night, I was like, oh, this man, pillow fist. He talks a lot like they tried to compare him to Floyd, but if he fought Pretty Boy Floyd, he would have got knocked out for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's for sure. But caller,
Pretty Boy Floyd version would have humiliated him. That version, not even. I
mean, literally, he would have made him look terrible. He'd have made him look terrible. There's no comparison. When they brought that graphic up, when they tried to do 23 years old and he had this championship and compare, I was like, look at the competition Floyd was facing. And Devin Haney doesn't have all those tools, nor the power, nor the championship heart. when he got hurt, it hurt his spirit. He wasn't even really trying to bang with him. Then when they got into the 12th round, it looked like he just stopped doing defense. He was like, "Oh, I already got this run. I already got it won." If JoJo really went for the kill in the 12th round, he could have knocked him out multiple times. Chin was up in the air, wasn't paying attention, no head movement, no foot movement. He's terrible.
Well, now, caller, let me ask you this before we move on, because we got a lot of callers. When you say overrated, it's true. People always get overrated or underrated, and it's usually by various factions. It's either by the media, it's by the fans, by the fighter himself. So if we put all that aside and just look at Haney for the fighter he is, where would you rank him? Wouldn't it be fair to say that he's pretty fucking good?
I would say that he's pretty fucking good, but I would call him top 10. That's because there's, usually the top outside of that is pretty much bums, bottom feeders. But I wouldn't say that he's, what do they have him in top 3 or something? He's definitely not above St. Davis for sure.
All right.
I think him and Ryan give a good fight. I think he barely beats Ryan, but.
Oh.
You know what I see? The two BDA and Call might agree with this, man. When I look at him, you can tell as somebody just in the way he fights, because he's got crazy natural athleticism skills. He's fundamentally very sound, but you can always tell someone who's not been even facing heavy hitters sparring. You can tell they're not. Maybe it's his father being in his corner, natural protection. Want to protect your kid. You can tell this kid isn't being hit hard enough, probably even sparring, because he's just there to get the same shot, keep hitting him. You know what I mean? Like those things you learn while you're sparring. If you're sparring someone who can crack you hard enough to fucking ring your bell during sparring, that's where you learn to stop doing that. So that's why it tells me they're not matching this kid even hard enough sparring. Sorry to step on your call, bro.
No, there's no step on. I definitely totally agree. I don't think he's sparring with any hard hitters. I think they've been protecting him basically protecting him in the gym, and then when he gets into a real fight, he's like prima donna. You hit him the wrong way, boy is flying all over the ring. He ain't been in there with no real hitters. He's not a real killer. He's like he's coming from the prep area and then trying to come down with the real hitters. I don't think he won't be a champion for long. I don't think he'll be get all the belts, and even if he does, he won't be there for long.
All right. Well,
I agree 100%.
Interesting point of view, caller. We got to move on to another call, but thank you for your call, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man?
Good call.
Take it easy.
Yeah, no problem. All right, have a good one.
You too, man. All right, let's go to, and yes, please don't forget to talk. Don't use a Bluetooth. Don't use a speakerphone. Like, try to speak on the phone directly. Try to speak as loudly as you can, and try to make your point concise, because we do have to sort through these calls. There's a lot of people calling. Let's go to 832, you're on the air. 832, what's on your mind?
What up, BDA? I watched that fight last night, man. Boy, Devin Haney looked like he was in a world of trouble towards the end of the fight, man. I don't think he does well against Tank Davis. I don't even think he does good against. I don't think he. I don't know. I can't even really say if he's gonna be like someone like Ryan Garcia either. I don't know. Devin Haney. See, the one thing I can honestly say I do like about Devin Haney is when he fights at a distance, when he uses his jab.
Right.
Like stuttering steps. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know if y'all saw it. Like, he was kind of stuttering, and JoJo didn't really have an answer, and he was boxing him up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. He takes a little step back. He doesn't run. That's what I like about Haney. He doesn't run, and with those shotgun nostrils of his, he has a lot of oxygen, so he always has that energy to keep throwing punches. Caller, let me ask you this, man. Him and Kambosos, because we keep talking about Gervonta Davis. That fight might never happen, but if Devin Haney and Kambosos happens, who do you pick in that one?
Oh, I'll take Devin Haney on that one, because Kambosos, I don't see nothing special in him. I think Teofimo should have beat him. I think Teofimo will beat him in a rematch, definitely.
Oh.
See, but the thing about Teofimo, he was just trying to look for his knockout power, and he wanted to knock him out in the first round. And he really went for it. Teofimo, that's how he got caught slipping. And see, but the Teofimo who fought shirt. Hold
up. Caller, you're breaking up, man. He hung up. All right. Well, he says he picked Haney over Kambosos, and I would agree with that. I think Haney's got superior skills than Kambosos, although Kambosos should not be underrated at this point, especially after we did to Lopez. All right, let's.
I was going to say, Kambosos. Yeah, sorry, Gonzalo, go.
I was just going to say, the father keeps telling Haney to slide hard after he punches. I think that's what the caller was talking about, but the father keeps alluding to that. Slide hard, slide hard. That's what I wanted.
Slide hard. Okay, there you go.
And I wanted to say Kambosos is a lot more talented than I thought he was, and he ducks punches. He's quick. He actually hits hard. I mean, you see Lopez's face. He jacked that boy's face up. Those were all hits, too. There's only, I think, one real headbutt. But, yeah, no, I don't agree that Haney would beat him. I think, especially if it happened in Australia, and Haney said he would go there, we'll see. Again, it would be about the money, I think, at that point.
Yeah, man. I mean, it depends on what. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch more fights just to see to give an approximation of what could happen in the potential fight. Let's go to 201. Hold on a second. 201. You're on the air. 201. What's on your mind?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thank you for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, let me introduce myself. My name is Jose Severino. I've been boxing since I was years old. I'm currently 27, and I fought during the amateurs between since I was a kid to my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But because of responsibilities and careers and stuff, you got to pick a side. So I'm currently doing IT. So anyway, I don't want to waste much time, guys. So my opinion about the fight is, because sometimes you got to see stuff through the boxer side, and the thing about Devin Haney is it's a lot of media behind him. Let me explain myself. There be being a lot of comparison with Mayweather because of he has basically the same body frame, 5'8", long arms, shoulder roll, flashy or whatever the case may be. But to me, he's more like a Caleb Plant. To be quite honest with you, he punches a lot, but you can see visibly he cannot hurt his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
If Jojo Diaz wouldn't have the stamina issues he always had, man, it would be a different fight, man. It would have turned out like Canelo against Plant, but
I agree, man. I think you were the one that mentioned that right on the chat too, that he's more Caleb Plant than Floyd Mayweather. And that's not to say he's a bad fighter. It's not to say he's horrible or whatever, but it's just what the media has been making him out to be.
He's not. I mean, listen, I don't criticize his power because the thing is, as a pure boxer, because that's the way I learned during the amateurs. You just got to make sure that you have to outbox your opponent. You cannot be reckless. But you cannot underestimate your opponent anytime. That's the pure basis being defensively responsible. The kid is he's defensively responsible. He's good. He's good. He has great hand speed. His power is a little bit to be decided, but he's a great fighter. He's a great fighter, no doubt about it. But I don't think he's as great as people make it out to be. You know what I mean? If he moves us to 140, who can he really beat? To be honest, because to me he has to fight Kambosos right now because he cannot beat Tank. He cannot beat Tank. Everybody knows that. The thing is when they throw a contract to someone and does something I know behind the scenes, I don't want to say any names, because that's information that someone told me confidential. They trust me this information, so I cannot say any names. But here's the thing, though. They sent a contract like they did to Guy Russell Jr. They sent a bullshit contract. Okay, you want to have the fight with us, but then you got to fight 2 fights under Haney Promotions, which is
right.
Aspen. Yo, what's up? I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And plus, Guy Russell Jr. is not going to go to a risk, another loss or whatever the case may be. Moving up, being way smaller to not get paid as much and take a loss, and then fight people that you don't want to fight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what they're thinking about. They're looking at through the lens of a business, and usually that doesn't result in the best fights being made for us fans. But listen, Severino, man, that's a great...
Exactly. He's Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. Like people think like you hate when you say like you think he's a bad fighter, something like that. Like when we call it overrated. Like it's like when you call Kobe Bryant overrated. Like you think you hate. Like no, dude. Like he's good, he's great, but he's not as great as people make it out to be. Because if he moves to 140, like, who's gonna beat? I don't think he beats Progress. I don't think he beat Taylor. I don't think he beats sorry for my language, bro.
Yes,
shit.
please.
Like he don't even want to be like David Easter. Like I don't think so. He gonna take that pop. Like Jojo Diaz, he always had problem with stamina. So after the 5th round, like he's gonna got out, and he still was. He was able to hurt him. Like I think it was on the 8th round or something like that. And also like everybody's been saying like, he's this big draw. Everybody's been dogging him on, bro. You don't want to fight Haney, taking a loss and not get paid. You know what I mean? Like
right. Yeah, I mean that's a great
fight. You know what I mean? But he's like Andrade.
It's a great point, man. That's a great point. Well, listen, we have to move on to another caller, man. But you're great points. Call back next time, all right, man? I want to hear from you again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Much love, man. I like your podcast. Much respect, man. Have a good one. Sorry to take you much time, man.
No, it's okay. That's good. Don't apologize. Thank you, man. Take it easy, man.
Severino sounds like Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, I was gonna say he sounds like fucking. Is he what's in the guitar case? He's a guitar. All right, let's go to. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I was gonna say, hope he calls back. He was a good call.
Yeah, good call, man. He made some interesting points about the business side of boxing. I hope he's wrong about how things go. I hope Haney and Garcia or Kambosos or one of those three ends up fighting each other. And let's not forget Lomachenko either. Let's go to 224. You're on the air. 224. What's on your mind?
First of all, shout out to the show, having a great debate. It's always wonderful listening in. It's like my 3rd time. Let's give credit to Devin Haney, man. I think as a coach and a former fighter, we as fans, we always look to criticize and then give credit. I mean, a lot of us do. You got to look at the pros and cons, but I think Devin Haney put on a masterclass 9-3 easy. I never looked at Devin Haney as a power puncher. So when everybody talking about his powers, how many knockouts do he have?
Yeah, how many does he have?
And I don't think. Yeah, I'm just trying to say like when we critique, I understand like the comparison of the greats. We see it in all the sports. Well, Kobe Bryant, I'm from Chicago, by the way, so Michael Jordan will always be my favorite basketball player in the greats all time. So I'm going to be a little biased right there. But when you talk about compared to the greats, it's only in boxing. When you compare a football great to another football great or a basketball great, if they don't make it, they consider it a bust. You can still be winning in boxing and not look as good as the fans think you should, and they'll trash you instead of giving you credit. So let's just speak on it. Let's give Devin Haney some credit. Let's give JoJo some credit for saying I don't think Devin Haney was going to stop him. I had Devin Haney as the favorite. With the Kambosos fight, I'm going to give it 50-50 because we could look at Kambosos 2 fights before he fought Teo. He didn't look that great. We thought he was going to get demolished. Now, do we give credit for Kambosos staying focused through all the breaks and all the pushbacks, or do we discredit him because Teo might have not been mentally focused or in a great health? So with boxing, we always got to give credit to the fighters and the winners first before we criticize, man.
Well, you know what it is, man.
You made the question. Go ahead, bro. What you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, caller, I'm from Boston, and I agree that Jordan's the greatest basketball player. I agree with you. Jordan. I just want to throw that out there.
You come my comparisons when it comes to boxing and other sports. You could be a great, like Devin Haney's great. Maybe he's not the Floyd Mayweather in some of these comparisons, but it doesn't mean we make him less than what he is. He still ain't lost. People call him the email champ. Well, that's part of what the WBC doing with the whole Undisputed. Let's just get Devin Haney and Kambosos so we can kill a franchise goat. Fans fighting over what some sanctioning body's doing. Let's be fans and say, hey, man, let's demand Haney and Kambosos kill a franchise belt. And we don't got to talk about no designations, no extra belts, and whatever it may mean to Mauricio and the WBC. But as fans, it's just confusion. And your favorite fighter might be the opposite favorite fighter from mine. Now we arguing over whatever it may be. And we ain't in the ring. We not fighting. And I teach my kids this in the gym every day. Always focus on what you're doing. When you come to play a game and the rules are set, the rules are set. When you choose to sign up to play that game, you can't cry about the rules. You just got to play to win. And always
that's
give
good
your
advice.
best. But
yeah, that's good advice.
Who run the show, I want to make a point about being chinny, man. I used to fight in my son fights and my nephew fights. And I think I'm gonna stand you wrong about being chinny because you showed the graphic of Devin Haney clinching. Now you said something about American gyms teaching how to fight. Clinch, bro, that's been going on since the beginning of time. We can name Ali, we can name Frazier, Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson. Everybody's taught to clinch, man. That's part of in every boxing gym. When you're hurt, you're supposed to clinch. When you're smothered and you got longer arms or you're a taller fighter on the inside, you can't get your punches off, you're supposed to clinch and let the ref come break it so you can reset to the proper position where the advantage is for you. So if I get hit in the temple or the behind the ear and I'm recovering, that doesn't mean I'm chinny. In that graphic you showed, it was like 20 seconds of the 12th round. If you rewind that a little bit, they just had an exchange, and Devin was trying to, if you saw, he reached out to grab him because he wasn't in a good position to punch. And sometimes you see a lot of boxers, they going to clinch at the end. They feel like they want to fight the last 10, 12 seconds. They not going to stand in the pocket and always fight like we see some of the great warriors do, like the Chavez's or, Maydonas and stuff like that.
But there's 2 points.
So I don't understand that chinny point. Unless you've been in the ring and you got the experience, then I could take it for it. But other than that, I don't understand your point. It's from a fan's point of view.
Well, there's 2 points. I understand what you're saying, but there's 2 counters to that. First of all, I'm not saying the number one thing wasn't necessarily the clinching, although I'm going to get to that. But it's the fact when I'm talking about his punch resistance, people talk about the chin. When people mention chin, they're talking about everything. Like punch resistance, endurance. He got hit 2 rounds later. He still couldn't shake it off. And he wasn't even, and this is where I have a problem with the clinching. It wasn't even, let him come to me. Hold on. It wasn't even let him come to me so I can smother him and then make it seem as if he's clinching me or something like. Because fighters can be sneaky that way. No, he was 2 feet away. You saw that graphic. 2 feet away, clinching. And he goes. Yeah. I don't like Vladimir used to do that, which I hated. He was one of the few fighters that I ever saw. Yeah, he was one of the few fighters that I ever saw who actually set up a clinch with a feint. I thought that shit was disgusting. I don't want to see it.
He had no inside game.
Yeah. Now, look, no fighters are created equal. Some of them are cut from a different cloth. But I don't see, like, for example, Errol Spence, I've never seen him hurt, but I've never really seen him clinch all that much. If he does clinch, it's because he wants to work with the free hand. Juan Manuel Marquez, when he would get hurt, no clinching. And how many times did he get out of it without clinching? So there are exceptions. Eric Morales, too. There are exceptions of fighters who say, screw the clinching. I'm going to get out of this the clean way. Now, of course, if you're hurt, you're hurt. The adrenaline's pumping. You're seeing 3 of your opponent. You got to do what you got to do. My main point is Devin Haney.
Absolutely.
Right. So I agree with you in a sense. But my main gripe with Haney is I'm worried about how well he can take a punch. That's all. Especially when you got big punches like Teofimo Lopez.
He took one from Linares. I'm saying the biggest shot I seen him take was from Linares with the same fight you talking. You felt like he didn't recover from the 10th to the 12th, right? That's what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Look, we can agree on that. It's fine. Like your point of view, but like it was just like he said, they teach that American. Like, man, you don't know American. To me, in my opinion, I don't know where you from, but to me, American got to find. I mean, it's changed over time because there's so many different fighters from all over the world who I love. But if you look at the style, the adopted style is the American style, man. If you look at it,
right?
Like, what's your boy from Scotland? What's your boy from Scotland who 140?
Josh Taylor.
Now, does he have an American style? Would you say?
It's hard to say. Because
look at all those European guys, bro. They love like I got a kid in my gym out there, Uzbekistan. Like, he's showing me all these films. These dudes want to be like Roy Jones, man. You know what I'm saying? Like not Chris Eubanks, not what's the other guy? Not me, other than Lennox Lewis. But American style, to me, in my opinion, has always been the best style. You know, it might be some hybrids now, but to me, that's the style that's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. Well, if you're a boxer puncher, if you're a puncher, if you're a brawler, it's just look at the history of fighters that's from America and look at their styles and how many people adopted their styles into the styles you see today.
That's true. And listen, that the whole thing about styles and, whether some of them are stereotypical or whether some of them actually have some truth to them, that's a good discussion for another time. And we could actually do a whole fucking show on that.
Because everybody if you train at the crime, don't mean you can fight like a crime fighter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's a different style right there.
Well, Carla, you sound like you're old enough to remember, like, good guys, boxing heads, guys who had the eye could tell just watching dudes spar or watching a fight, say, that's a Philly fighter. That's a Baltimore fighder. That's an LA fighter. Like, there was a style, almost a culture that came in that area, like for years, through the 70s and 80s. If you were a Philly fighter, you're going to fight a kid from Philly, pack a lunch, because that dude's going to, almost always work in your fucking chest, with kids out west were doing more of the slick shit, So it is kind of changed. But I agree
It's like
overall,
a mesh
the
now. If you
greatest
think about
style
it.
would have to be the
At least I
American
try to
because
teach my kids.
if you look at the greatest, I'd say are American.
Well, listen, you guys, I gotta no. You guys are
All-time
biased. You guys
greats.
are American.
I'm saying all-time greats.
I'm going with the Maple Leaf Canadian style. I'm kidding. Well, listen, caller, thank you for your call, man.
Ooh.
We gotta thank you for your call, man. We
Thank you,
gotta move
brother.
on.
Appreciate y'all.
But hey, call back next time, right, man? Because you made some excellent points.
Yes, man. Much love to y'all.
Yeah,
Great
good
show.
call.
Keep it up, man.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, that whole thing about styles is sometimes the stereotypes are there because for a reason, and sometimes they're there because some people just got it wrong and just repeat it. So that's an interesting take that we could do on the styles. All right, let's go to.
You could do a whole show on that.
Let's go to. Hold on a second. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind?
Hey guys, happy Sunday.
Oh, Tin Man. Thank you for calling in, man.
What's up?
Tin
yeah,
Man.
so I think Devin Haney boxed very well. Although I felt that in the second half of the fight he looked nervous, and yes, he's definitely changed. I think if that same person, if he was standing opposite Tank would have finished the fight. So I'm still not sold on this guy being a world beater and a world champion. He's a very good boxer. I agree with the previous callers, like he is like Caleb Plant. And Jojo Diaz is a real useless fellow. I don't know how you come into a fight with someone who has a 7-inch reach advantage over you without any head movement, without any right hooks to the body. I mean, fighters in this age have access to so many fights that they can see and emulate. And I don't understand when you are such an experienced fighter, why you're not adding wrinkles to your game. I mean, that should have been a default thing. All you had to do was watch that Canelo versus a Billy Joe Saunders fight to have a game plan. I mean, there's almost I don't think the reach disparity was that much, but still, similar strategy. And the second thing is, I just like to ask the panel. So I placed Devin Haney, Montana Love, Shakur Stevenson all in a similar. They have similar fighting styles. So what is the correct game plan to beat these guys? I'll just leave it at that. And
all right, Tin Man. Thank you for your call, man.
Listen on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Tin Man.
Yes. So what was the fight? He said Haney versus.
Tank. I don't think that he could stand up to the power. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, I kind of. What do you guys think? I agree. We mentioned that a little bit, but I'll just reiterate. Davis, I think, kills him to the body.
BD, this is an example. Like the reason. Okay, this is just an example, but I'm gonna go to that real quick. You know why Cambosos beat Teofimo? Why the fight went the distance? He edged it on the scorecards because he could take Teofimo's punches. Now, if you're Devin Haney, and this was like a boxing fight that's always going to go the distance and to the scorecards, you're probably always going to win because you're probably going to outpoint the other guy. And right, but the thing that moving forward, one of these days when they pit him in against a heavy puncher, he's going to get hurt because he's not the Cambosos where he can take the shot. He can fight, but he can't take the shot. And that's just my opinion because he hasn't been matched up with the hard puncher. And with these guys that can't punch that hard, he's getting hurt. I mean, he's not as can crack, but you get what I mean.
I mean, I think what Haney has over all of these other fellas is the jab. Even Lomachenko doesn't tend to jab much unless he's fighting other southpaws. Hey, Garcia doesn't have that good a jab. Lopez doesn't have that good a jab. Tank Davis doesn't. Haney, on the other hand, he's got that jab. Now, we didn't really see it that much last night because he was fighting a guy who behind the earmuffs. It's kind of hard to. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. Remember when Andrew Ward fought, what was his name? Arthur Abraham. He had the same turtle shell defense. And Ward was just keeping him at bay with that jab. And hard jabs to the body, too. Now, it's a little difficult to go to the body against Jojo because he's a southpaw and he's shorter, so that angle maybe was a little bit problematic for him. But still, nevertheless, I'm saying Devin Haney has a very good jab, and I think that's his ace in the hole here. I think that's his secret weapon. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to... don't forget to hit the like button, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. 832, you're on the air. 832, what's on your mind?
What up? What up? Y'all can hear me? I'm back.
Yes, we can hear you, man.
All right, man. So what I was gonna say is George Kambosos. I think that was a fluke against Teofimo Lopez. I think Teofimo let himself go in that fight. So that's why I don't see nothing that Kambosos can do to someone like Tank Davis, to someone like Ryan Garcia. I think he falls short. He falls short in all of those. If you really want to be honest, I mean, he has skills, yeah, but like he doesn't have that like A-level boxer IQ. Like whenever Teofimo Lopez was able to close the distance and get in the pocket, Kambosos would just fire away, right? And I mean, fair play, but I don't think there was much of a good thought to whatever he was doing. I think Teofimo just got frustrated, and he probably didn't have the answer he needed at the time. But I think he's going to be prepared in the rematch.
Well, that may be, but do you think a rematch happens? Or because Teofimo said no rematch, he wants to move up to 140.
I mean, yeah, probably. I don't know. Teofimo's probably going to move to 140. You're right. But if he doesn't, yeah, it will definitely be a rematch. I think it's time for Kambosos to fight Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney beats Kambosos. So it's great for Devin Haney, right?
Yeah.
But look, Jojo did a good job yesterday. To be fair, he did what he could, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Jojo, he would fare up better against I think he has one of the better chances to beat Gervonta Davis, and let me tell you why. Because Jojo Diaz is not an Olympian with a lot of experience, but prior to the fight with Devin Haney, he had fought something like five southpaws in a row. So and he did pretty damn good against Tevin Farmer. So I think he would fare up better than Rolly Romero or Isaac Cruz or any of those guys.
Oh,
I think a lot of people sleep on Diaz. Like for real, like Jojo Diaz is like he really cold with it at times when he really wants when he's laser focused. He cold. He like him and Teofimo. When they get focused, they get busy. Tank Davis too. I don't know. That would be a great fight in my opinion. So
well then,
I don't know what y'all think about that.
Yeah, then all credit to Haney if he beat that guy, because I mean he really did beat him like 9-3, 8-4 clean. So we'll see, man. Listen, 832. Thank you for your call. Great point. You left us thinking about that future fight or those future fights, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man?
Not yet.
Take it easy, man.
And BDA, at this point, like Teofimo, he was mentioning these like positive things about him, but it's also like a negative that he doesn't show to have like the mental makeup to continue being a world champion, because he gave that performance against the Japanese guy too, like where he didn't show up.
Right.
And he gets cut easily. One thing that Steve Kim mentioned, look at the skin, his brows. They're like really like soft, and I think he's exposed to getting cuts as well. He's kind of like, to me, he's a little bit like a Panchito.
When you drop by and boom, the internet goes off. So I don't know what's going on, man. Hopefully I can get it fixed. But yeah, we're going to go back to the phone calls here real quickly. But yeah, man, I mean, look, listen, Devin Haney, you got to give him credit, man. He beat Jojo Diaz, the game plan. He didn't just say, let me just go out there and let my hands go, see what happens. No, he had a plan. He had to be economical with his shots. And he tried to go to the body as best he could. That's what I like, too, about him. But Jojo should really go back down to 130 if he can.
Yeah. He's now that you mentioned the jab, that he's got a good jab, he also hits pretty hard to the body with that straight punch.
Yeah, he didn't. He never went back. Sorry, go ahead, yeah.
It's not the same as the shovel hook, but it's still like when he was implementing the high guard, when Jojo was doing that, like you also mentioned, that was the place to hit him. When Jojo was thinking high, he was going low with that straight shot. It was a pretty hard shot. You could tell. Pretty hard.
Yeah, man, he tried. He tried his best. It was a very interesting game plan. You could tell he'd practiced it beforehand a while. And probably good quality sparring as well to be able to pull that off. But nevertheless, man, it's look, Haney, he got through it, and we'll see what happens. By the way, fellas, we are back. So if you can still hear us, refresh your browser or your YouTube page, and you should be able to get back to us here. Now I'm trying to open up the chat here. What is this? To continue, let's keep your account, making sure it's what's going on here? Hold on a sec. Give me 2 seconds here, because this thing is giving me crap for some reason. Hey, by the way, Gonzalo, are you going to be watching the fight, the Isaac Cruz Tank Davis fight?
Of course.
What before? Well, let's do a little preview here. What do you think about that fight?
To me, it's an interesting style matchup, and it's a good fight. I think we're kind of looking a little over past the ability or the type of fight that Isaac Cruz can deliver, the type of performance he can deliver. He seems to be pretty confident. Stylistically, I think it's like Michael Carbajal versus Chiquita Gonzalez. Isaac Cruz would be like the Chiquita Gonzalez, and Tank Davis would be like a Carbajal. Carbajal doesn't go like toe to toe. He can bang, as evidenced by the knockouts that he has on his record. But he usually tries to pick his shots, so he's like a boxer puncher, right? But in the end of the day, when he needs to punch, he'll do it. So stylistically, it's not gonna be like toe to toe or like two trains come to collide. No, it's gonna be one guy pushing forward and Tank Davis doing a little bit of that, but at the same time trying to look for the right position to like maybe land like a crisp uppercut. He got power with them uppercuts, and I think hook for hook. Yeah, you're gonna see some exchanges where it's gonna be like ebbs and flows. But I actually think that Tank Davis might win those exchanges because Isaac Cruz's hooks are like what in Spanish you would call a volado. It's like a haymaker type of like overhand punch. It's in between like an overhand and like the hook. So they're kind of wide, in other words. And I think that Tank Davis, his shots are a little bit more tight. He tucks the elbow in, and when he delivers it, geometrically speaking, he could turn it at a closer angle on the turn. So if you're trading hooks, hook for hook, I think Tank Davis hooks gets there first because it's a game of inches, right? But I think more so, I think it's going to be the uppercut. And it's going to be a good fight. And I think he knocks him out around the 7th round. This is Tank Davis because if you go to war like that, I don't care how strong of a chin, the fights don't go the distance. Most of the times when fight goes the distance is one guy gets on the back foot. But not this fight. Not this fight. It's going to be a good fight.
You think Tank Davis is going to run around the ring in the beginning? Well, not run, but move and try to make Cruz run into something? You think he's going to go to war right away?
Yeah, sure. I don't think he's going to go to war right away. That's kind of right. Like, he's a power puncher, but he won't try to always be that. But when he has to rely on that, ultimately, he probably will. Specifically, especially if he's falling behind on the scorecards. But yeah, he's probably going to try to do a little bit of that. Not necessarily run, but try to pick an angle by placing his feet in a certain position. I don't know. Not necessarily collapsing the pocket.
Well, do you think he's been told to by Floyd, Gonzalo? You think he's been told to try to get a few rounds in? Only because, honestly, if he goes out and he sleeps one of these guys in the first couple of rounds, it just adds to the level of competition. You know what I mean? The question about him, the number one question. Do you think that's a factor? Well, I don't know, but I can't knock a guy that has power and likes to box because we saw with Pacquiao, dude can punch, but he can also box. He stays on the, like, I don't know, Kovalev. Kovalev have heavy hands, but he can box. You have a greater chance of pulling off a victory, whether you decide to punch or whether you decide to box, either or, because you can do both. And if you're becoming a more experienced boxer at the same time while still having the ability to punch hard, you can do two things that maybe one guy that has boxing ability like Devin Haney can never do, which is punch. So what I'm saying, he's got more of a. It only builds into his abilities more. I can't really knock him for that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and if someone goes out there, I mean, Teofimo Lopez's performance last week was the prime example of somebody not setting up the knockout. You know what I mean? He went out there, was just telegraph and throwing everything the same speed, catching him at the end of the punches. Instead of, blinding, hiding that right hand behind a good jab. And as you know, Gonzalo and his most listeners know, a jab is also a range finder. And when you're throwing those one-offs, it's the reason why a lot of those, like somebody put a compilation together, see if I can find it, into slow-mo of all the big punches, Lopez, the big right hands, and if you see them, they're almost every one he's fully extended out at the end of his punch. He's not in that fucking, sweet zone. So, and I think that's all from not setting his punches up. Well, look at the most he hurt him is in the 10th, right? When he started coming in behind his jab, or in the 9th, started coming in behind his jab. So to that example, even if you're a knockout puncher, if you don't use boxing to arrive at your knockout, then you're fucking up. You're not doing it right.
Well, that's what they always say, right? That's hey, you go looking for the knockout, it ain't going to happen. And, Teofimo Lopez, that's what he did. It almost did him. Even Camboso said, I knew if he did that, I was gonna run into something. And it almost seemed that way when we were watching the fight. Like, man, this guy's gonna run into something. And I just didn't know whether Camboso had the punching power to do it. But once he did, I said, oh boy, Lopez is in trouble now because Camboso's can't box. Real quick here, what's this? We got more phone calls, but yeah, since the internet, sorry about that, the connection went out for a couple of seconds beforehand, so had to reset the whole thing here. But Jimmy, are you looking forward to the Cruz Tank Davis, or are you? Because I know you're not a big PBC fan. But
well, no, I won't buy it. I will not purchase it. Although I actually have the capability of streaming it now, but I'm still not going to do it. I won't. I'll watch it tomorrow morning on YouTube. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to pay that money. I refuse to. It's an insult. That fight, that'd be a decent Saturday night Showtime fight. I wouldn't even complain that it was kind of and again, he's a tough kid, that kid Cruz, but I went back and watched some of his fights. Listen, Floyd wouldn't have put him in there if they honestly thought there was even an outside chance that could win. And if he does win, man, that's going to blow up Floyd's plans, because that's the whole reason protecting that that was what they were going to generate into the big, payday. So, yeah. But I'm not a big fan of this fight.
I like the fight, man.
I hate it.
I like the fight. I think, okay, maybe Tank Davis takes him out, maybe makes it easy. But Pitbull, he's a Pitbull. That's why they named the Pitbull. And yeah,
it's be entertaining, bro. I agree with you there. But for $80,
yeah,
it's an insult.
That's true. The undercard's pretty good, though. You got David-Lomachenko versus Adames. That's going to be a very interesting fight. I wouldn't necessarily call it a crossroads fight, but it is a fight that, both guys, somebody has to win that one. Otherwise, they're not necessarily out the door, but they got to go back down the pegging order. You got Sebastian Fundora, that kid, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 154 pounds. The heck is that all about? That is insane. That is disgusting, even to a certain degree. And I want to watch that. So, and what's the other one?
He's a Nephilim.
Yeah, he's a Nephilim. That's true. Yeah, man. I think he's got wings or something. But there's another fight in there. Hold on a second. Because you know what? It's good to have I like this Saturday and Sunday boxing fights. I could get used to them, man. So
but if he's the most exciting, biggest fighter, like, Ellaby's been saying, why didn't they match him up head to head against Haney last night? If he's because they were, of course, Ellaby was wait to shit all over Haney. The numbers, I guess they didn't sell out MGM, or, they sized the room down or whatnot. I mean, it is what it is. It's just Haney's not that level yet. And it kind of goes to show you that maybe the zone thought this was a bigger fight than it really was, because even the Mexicans didn't turn out in big numbers for Diaz.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was an entertaining fight. It was actually more entertaining than I expected, but it wasn't exactly the fight that was going to light Las Vegas on fire. Let's just put it that way. Be interested to know what
knockout punches. Dude, it's always knockout. Look at GGG. Kid couldn't even speak a lick of English. Good boy. Big drama show. I mean, that was the most the fucking dude could say. And he was selling out on both coasts. Because he knocks people out. And that heart was savages. Nobody wants to see two kids once they start getting a reputation as fucking feather-fisted, pillow-fisted, whatever, euphemism you want to use. It's still fucking, it is what it is. People do not turn out for guys, usually in large numbers, who don't crack.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta bring something to the table. Like we keep saying, it's a form of boxing. As much as some people want to keep it a pure sport, or whatever, it is a form of show business. You got to show the people something. It's a fight at the end of the day. It is a controlled
violence.
fight. It's controlled violence, yeah, but it's violence at the end of the day. People want to see other people get knocked out or beat up. For example, the Fulton versus Figueroa fight. That was a fight where both guys showed skill. They inside punching where it's really tight and hard to do. These guys were able to pull it off. Inside fighting is an art. Most people think it's easy to just go on the inside and wail away. No. It's much more difficult than that. That's why I enjoyed that fight. And we've had a lot of terrific fights.
Gym rats are always Salido types, guys who do fucking years in the gym. That's where you learn that art. The guys who spar a lot, because, it's not an on-the-job type of thing. You learn inside fighting.
Exactly. By the way, man, sorry about this, but I gotta reopen the phone lines because there's something screwed up here. But I want to, you guys take over for 2 minutes, please. But I want to leave you with the question. Now Teofimo Lopez is coming out and saying, people besmirch Lomachenko for the shoulder excuse. Now this guy is saying, and apparently he's got a doctor to back him up, that he had some sort of pulmonary illness or complication. Supposedly he was fighting with 300 pounds of pressure on his chest. Guys, did you hear anything about this? And is there any validity to this?
I don't know. I mean, who's the doctor? I mean, you could pay any doctor to say anything, but so they could listen. And when you have COVID, or you could have scarring. I don't know. I was reading somewhere that it could just be the shadow of a fucking X-ray that might look like your lungs have weight on it. But listen, nobody forced him to go. If he actually had that situation where it felt like he was going into the ring with 300 pounds on his chest, and never mind the fact the shit he said about Lomachenko. Remember that? It shows you what kind of person he is. He went on a fucking bunch of rants about excuse making and what kind of people make excuses and then turn around and start fucking, I got fucked by DAZN. Fucking, I had 300 pounds on my fucking chest. I think there's been 3 of them so far.
Hey, that sounds like it's heavier than the Wilder suit, isn't it? But it's even worse because it's imaginary.
Wilder was 40 pounds.
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah. By the way, Jimmy, are you chewing tobacco or something? There? Spitting in the thing.
What's that? No, a bug just flew in my mouth. I was shoving them on the back porch, and the fucking bug just flew right down my throat. So you heard me hack it back up. Sorry about that.
That's okay, man. But listen, somebody, Hawker, I think it was Hawker Mustang, said, he made a good point. He said, look, this guy got pulled out of the first Kambosos, the first time against Kambosos. He got pulled out because of COVID. You expect us to believe that he fought with 300 pounds of pressure on his chest or on his lungs, whatever? That's a little suspect, if you ask me. Don't quite buy that.
You know what could have happened? And I totally believe this. He didn't realize until he got in there. It's one of those things you don't know. Again, when you can spar all you want, it doesn't get your heart rate to the same level. And your heart rate beating fast is what makes you go, you can burn energy quicker. And so you don't really reach that second fighting wind. There's a big difference from getting your second wind sparring to second wind fighting. And I think he hit the fucking wall. And I think after that round, he really hurt him. And he came out and he took it off like in the 11th round. That's when I really realized, I'm like, this dude's sucking wind right now. To come off really rocking him. I mean, what, did he knock him down twice that round, maybe? Or was it once? I can't remember.
It was once in the first round.
And he came out and he didn't even fucking, he took the round off. It was after a round he really hurt him. I think it was the 11th round they were saying, or the 10th. He's like, it looks like he's taking this round off. It's just because he would hit a wall. It was all loading up on his punches, and I think the COVID might have fucking gave him a little pulmonary issues. I think he looked, probably dry. He couldn't get any more mustard. He's pushing his body because his frame, like look at Kambosos is taller, but look frame to frame, put him back to back. Look at the lats, the shoulders on Lopez compared to Kambosos. That's where all that weight is. Also in his legs. He's got good sized legs. So he's chewing a lot of muscle to make that weight.
That's right. And he's a young guy where usually it wouldn't be that much of a factor, but I think he's cutting a lot of muscle. Because if you see the videos before the weigh-in, he looks a lot bigger.
Dude, I seen him last year. I sent out a pitch. I think he said he was like 160 something pounds, close to 160 pounds. He had like abs and shit. So, I mean, he's eating all kinds of muscle. He's probably chewing off 15 pounds of muscle. And what happens with that? You end up, you just don't get that same. Oh, you guys have all worked out, right? You know, when you get a good pump in the gym, right? You get a fucking feels like your muscles tearing through your skin. You know, whatever muscle part you worked. Sometimes you just can't get it, no matter what. You feel flat. Now, just imagine that in the whole body scale. Like you just don't get that. Your body's not right, and that's usually a lot. That happens a lot when guys do saunas, when they take the weight off with saunas instead of hard work. That will,
and you know what? He's a puncher. He can hit hard, but when you are heavier, because I've experienced this before. I've been like more built at times in my life than like later. I'm not as built, you know. And then you get old. But what I'm trying to say, when you can hit hard, yeah, you can hit hard. But if you lose muscle, you can tell how your punch diminishes. And his power is kind of like he uses a lot of muscle to thrust into his shots. So I think he kind of realized too, man, my punch is not the same because all that fucking muscle he cut. I'm not saying he can't punch, but it's just different.
No, of course, 100% right. I mean, look at him when he's off season, right? Big wide lats, you know, he's all fucking jacked up. Imagine how hard he could fucking punch if it was just a one-off shot there. Put all that weight behind it and that, you know, fresh energy. Yeah, you chew muscle, especially off your lats and your neck, your shoulder, and your legs. It's just physics, man. Less muscle is going to be less power. And then who knows if I don't know his dietary habits. I don't know if who he has working with him for that. I throw a snack, so he's got the right people. They know what they're doing. If he's following what they're telling him. A lot of fighters don't follow what they're told.
All right,
but he didn't look like he came out of guns a blazing. Also,
that's the thing, though.
He faced himself.
That's the thing, though. If he came out guns blazing, it's either maybe the pressure on the chest made him fight that way. Maybe he panicked. I don't know. But the point is, he's got an excuse. And, Lomachenko had an excuse as well, and people besmirch him for it. So, at the end of the day, if Lomachenko had an excuse and he was valid, just like people want to give Lopez credit for his excuse, then that rematch should have happened. Now, I know people are going to say, but Lopez had an injury too. Had a fucking fractured toe. Could have been anything. Could have been a hairline fracture. But they like to say broken toe to make it seem like, as if the toe was hanging by a patch of skin. Nah, it was a fucking...
Do you know what they do for broken toe, BDA?
Nothing.
You know what they do? Nothing. There's nothing they can do. They usually tape it up to the next one.
Uh-huh.
And if it's depend on what toe it is, if it was completely broken, yeah, I could see that being an issue. And I don't even think that the commission would have let him continue. Well, yeah, they could probably hide it, but it might have been a fracture. Who knows? No athlete at that level is 100%. Very rarely you're going to get an athlete at 100% physically.
Exactly.
But again, I say the fact that he was hospitalized and had surgery that Monday, you don't book that overnight. You don't make those those doctors, you don't call them on a Sunday morning, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Get a hold of their secretary. Hey, put me in for $315 and a shoulder surgery. It's not how it works. That shit's put in advance. So they knew coming in that Monday they were going under the knife. So clearly there was a shoulder issue. Should he have brought it up? No, he shouldn't even have brought it up. Should have just got the fucking surgery. But again, it's hard for people to hold back to tell shit like that.
And also, look, how many times did the fight get postponed? What was he looking at? Postponing it again? At a certain point, he had to make a decision, right? Because his career suffered. Many things happened. I'm not saying you can't postpone it. I'm not saying you can't. But it already had been postponed like 3 times.
And the thing is, Gonzalo, he did it to himself. Remember, $1.25 million for the time was just an unknown Mando for most people. It was decent money. That's, again, guaranteed $1.25 million. Guaranteed money tonight for Tank is $1 million. And that was, to him, remember, that was a fucking insult. I mean, he went on YouTube channels to say how much of a fucking insult that was. And he had a few writers. I mean, Marcos Vegas I keep saying his last name wrong, but he was cheering it on. A lot of guys were cheering on his decision. Mike Coppinger, of course. And look at that, blew up in his face. Bob knew what that fight was worth. The fight wasn't worth what he was asking for. And
the gate was awful.
For him, his father to say, we're going back to... Sorry, brother.
No, I was just going to say also that I did hear that he's suicidal. If you look at Cambosos on that telecast yesterday, he took all Teofimo's shine. He was like looking like the superstar and getting asked all the great questions and moving forward with him and Haney and this and that. He took the shine away.
Excellent point, brother. He's he's going through a divorce too. Remember we talked about his wife?
Yeah,
you know,
that's a shame.
they're going for a divorce now. They're getting divorced. That's how fucking hectic.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, dude, you're married, Gonzalo. You know what that shit's like. Imagine going in for a championship fight, going to a divorce. And I know everybody would say, well, dude, that's your job. You got to focus. You're a fuck who you are. You're human. You're human, dude. And that's your wife.
It's worse.
So.
It's worse on the. You know what? I think it's worse on the men. Usually, when you get a divorce, there's men, there's people. They'll drink their lives away. They'll fucking pick up that bottle with the divorce or like a romantic something that went wrong in your life, man. Some dudes can kill themselves, and some people are like that.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully he's not like that. But I want to touch up on that after. But let me just get to a couple of phone calls here real quick. But I want to go back to that Teofimo Lopez because there was a boxing scene article that came out after the fight. Real quick, let's go to the wild card here. Let's go to the wild card. 111, you're on the air. 111. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. 111, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's going on, BD?
Oh, it's MMA Champ. What's up,
I
man?
wanted to address Teofimo, disease or whatever. So on ESPN, they said, a doctor says Teofimo could die from air in his chest. I was like, what? Isn't that called breathing? That was a weird way of stating it. I don't even know what he has. But if he actually has that disease and he could have died from it, I mean, let's keep that same energy that Lomachenko fans did when he lost to Teo. He said, he had a fucked up shoulder or something like that, right?
Right.
So Teo had a lung disease, right? So let's keep that same energy.
Exactly. So it can't be either or. Either nobody is able to make excuses, or if somebody does have an ailment, then it stands to reason that ailment did affect the performance.
But isn't Teofimo's allegedly? I mean, we don't know. Isn't that what he's just saying? I guess he had a doctor.
Somebody is because a doctor said it was a literal doctor said that he had this.
What did he say? What was he diagnosed with?
Are we not going to believe doctors now? Are we not going to
believe
doctors?
You don't have to repeat yourself, kid. What exactly did he say though? What was the diagnosis?
I can't pronounce the what he was diagnosed with. It starts with P though.
All right.
I can't.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look it up and we're gonna talk about it.
This is MMA. This is MMA Champ. Oh, what's up, dude? I didn't even recognize you, dude. I could barely hear you.
Well, listen, MMA Champ. We're gonna look it up because we want to get to the bottom of it.
And Jojo Diaz. Haney and Jojo Diaz, I think it was a good fight. I think Haney retaliated Jojo's pressure, and I think he just threw more punches. I don't think Jojo was throwing as much punches. He was walking Haney down, but he was really capitalizing on it too much. I think Haney has an underrated chin. Let's be honest, bro, because he was taking Jojo shots, and he didn't get dropped like Lomachenko, Teofimo, Ryan Garcia did. Let's not forget, those three got dropped. Haney never got dropped before, and he fought the likes of Linares and Jojo. And I think people are saying, Kambosos beats Haney. Second of all, listen, Kambosos had 3 split decisions in his last 3 fights. I mean, what decision his last 3 fights too. So I mean, listen, Kambosos is not no power puncher. He has a good overhand right, but let's be honest, it was more of how Teofimo performed that got him the win. Because if that was Teofimo who fought Lomachenko, I think he would have beat Kambosos. Let's be honest. So I think Kambosos and Devin Haney is a good fight, but I think Devin Haney just beats Kambosos. I don't think Kambosos' power will bother Haney.
All right.
But
well, listen, MMA Champ
and Cruz, this Tank and Cruz fight. Let me just say this, bro. Tank is fighting a midget. You know, it's really nothing to be surprised about. Tank is fighting another bum. He's gonna knock another bum out. I mean, Tank is he's trash, bro. He's trash, man.
All right. Well, that's MMA Champ's take. Shout out to MMA Champ. He dropped out, but thank you, MMA Champ, for your call, and we'll catch you in the next one. Now, I gotta say, if Teofimo Lopez, the Lopez that fought Kambosos was not the Lopez that beat Lomachenko, and you also gotta give that one to Lomachenko and say that Lomachenko that fought Lopez was not the Lomachenko that beat Rigondeaux and Linares and Campbell and so on and so forth. So it goes both ways. Anything that Lopez says now, or his fans say about the excuse and about, well, it affected his performance, can say the same thing about Lomachenko. And that's why that fight merited a rematch. Let's go to 267. Hold on a second. 267, you're on the air. 267, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. 267, what's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I can't tell if I'm breaking up.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, all right. How's it going? So I don't know if I've ever introduced myself, but anyway, I'm going to call myself Sigbutt J, and I'm a degenerate gambler, and I just wanted to redirect the conversation to tonight's fights. I mean, I could talk about Teofimo and Lomachenko or whatever you guys want to talk about, but
right.
There's something tonight I want your opinion on, and it's the Sergey Derevyanchenko versus Carlos Adames. I see a huge potential to make some money if anybody wants to throw, $25, $50. I have a feeling PBC setting up Adames to win this to then fight Charlo. I have a very strong feeling there's the money on that underdog, and if you want to parlay it with a Tank Davis, you're probably going to make yourself some money. I wouldn't say put the whole house on it, but I see it.
Interesting. I mean, it's wouldn't surprise me if they want to. Because Charlo already beat Derevyanchenko, so maybe they want Adames to go in there with the Derevyanchenko win. That would be interesting. But how about the main event? Do you see anything possible there for an upset or no?
There, I see 0%. We all know. I mean, Floyd's building this kid up, and he's doing something different. Like, we all saw how he fucked up Adrian Broner. But Floyd has Gervonta Davis in his state-of-the-art facility, 24/7. They're always working this kid. So even if he's not on point, they're getting him, fit as a fiddle. I worry that if, let's say, another 2 years they were to plan that Lomachenko fight, and I'm a huge Lomachenko fan, man, I could see Tank winning it the way they're building it.
Yeah, maybe, man. I mean, Tank Davis is a heck of a fighter, man, and but he needs to stay active, and he needs to stay fighting sharp opposition. Otherwise, that sharpness is going to get dull by the time he takes on the top opponent.
100% agree.
All right. Well, listen, hey.
Yeah, no, I 100%. Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, that's okay, man. Yeah, we're going to take a look at that Adames-Vidachenko fight. I'm going to be watching it closely. How about Recognize or Gonzalo or Jimmy? Any of you guys going to place a bet on that? Or?
I don't know about. I always place multiple bets on these fights. This caller is right in the sense that you should look at the Derevyanchenko fight and Adames and look at that. If the odds are, I haven't looked at the odds, but if they have Derevyanchenko as a favorite, you might want to go with Adames because that scenario is very possible.
Yeah, Adames is a plus 400 right now. So I'm just saying the guy can fight. He likes to gas out, and I mean I know Sergey's the technician, but I think he's looking to cash out.
That's it. The thing with Derevyanchenko, he might be a tough spirit to crack because he's got 3 opportunities and he's failed. Doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. We all know the caliber of a fighter. Like you said, he's a technician. So in this last opportunity, he probably wants it bad.
Yeah, I'm talking about
either he wants it bad or maybe he's looking to take a rest and he's going to give it up to this kid so they can push him on and show him to Charlo. They're going to feed him to Charlo. That's what I'm thinking. I see it.
Yeah, that's who they're probably. I mean, well, because Charlo already fought Derevyanchenko.
Exactly.
Right.
Who else does
That would go.
PBC have it?
Hey, I just wanted to tell BDA. I posted that what Lopez was diagnosed. I can't pronounce the word. I mean, the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
neither can I.
Go right. Yeah. So that's what he supposedly was diagnosed with.
All right. Well, we're going to take a look at that after the calls here. But listen, caller, thank you for your call. Thank you for your tip. And we'll see what happens with that one. All right. Call back next time.
Good luck with that degeneracy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Sigma J. You can thank me.
Sigma J. All right. Take it easy, man. Thank you for your call.
Is that what he said? Sigma J?
Sigma J. Sigma J.
Sigma J.
Hopefully
Okay,
he doesn't
Sigma
get the
J.
heat turned off today or tonight, rather. Let's
Hey,
go.
BDA, you have the point, man. Carlos Adames wins a decision. He's a plus 550 to win a decision.
Oh.
You'll recognize. Did you just catch BDAs? I hope they don't turn the heat off. The fucking casino thing he dug in there.
All right. Let's go.
Stylistically, Carlos Adames, remember when he fought Teixeira? When Teixeira threw everything, like a lot of punches, how he overwhelmed El Caballo Adames. Man, David-Chenko, he's a little bit like that, no?
Yep. He is.
Yeah, I'm going with David-Chenko on this one.
I see what the guy's talking about. Makes sense. If you're a betting man, there's multiple ways to, cover your bets, you know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't mind putting a bet down for Adames. There's good money. There's good odds if he wins.
I'm also picking Tank Davis by 7th round KO. He's going to hit him with an uppercut, and probably Cruz is going to fall face first, like Chiquita Gonzalez, like the 91 fight with Carvajal. It's kind of going to be a barn burner, man.
You have to bet $800 to earn $100 if you go with Tank. I think that was the 8 to 1.
If you pick the specific round, do you win more?
Well, yeah, you could bet. Yeah, in Vegas, you can bet on fucking anything. The coin toss in football, for Christ's sakes, they bet on. But you can place a bet for certain, like I pick a round, knockout, and all that other stuff.
I mean,
that's. Sorry, brother. Go.
Oh, sorry. That dude's got a big ass neck. He's probably got like a 17-inch neck for a little guy. I don't know. He's
Cruz?
just fucking big. Yeah, but he's just smaller. Plus the weigh-in the day after. Tank was already bigger. Imagine when he hydrates up to.
Exactly.
Yep.
No, Tank's gonna be a lot bigger, brother. And again, man, go back. It's on Showtime. You can actually I think it's on YouTube. You can look it up, and it shows that kid Cruz doing wind sprints. Go back and watch that fucking kid run. Wow, dude is not an athlete.
Oh, he's not?
No, dude. I've seen rabbis with more athleticism.
No.
He's got quick hands though. He's got fast combinations, but it's kind of been like one performance is good, one is bad. So he hasn't been consistent either.
Yeah, he hasn't. Right, again, one stoppage. I mean, I know, of course, Smellaby and all those guys are putting it out there as a fucking, this is a guaranteed knockout, 2 power punches. No, Tank's a power puncher. That kid has explosive power. This kid has stopped one guy in his last 5 fights, and he's not fighting the cream of the crop.
Yeah,
you know
but still, but he still hits pretty gosh darn hard, man. He hits. You can tell he's got velocity on his shots. He's not gonna go in there and lay down against
at 130. I think yes. At 135, no.
I still
Sorry, you know how they say that the second shot hurts you more than the first? When he caught Magdaleno froze because when he got hit with the first and he got hit with the second, then the third, and he had no answer. He froze because of the combination, the one punch after the other. And if he can produce that kind of reaction on Tank, where the punches are coming in rapid succession, but then all of a sudden he gets bamboozled to the point where he can't get his wits about him, maybe he has a little success, right?
Right. I mean, look, he's a puncher. Tank Davis hasn't really faced that many big. I mean, like Jimmy said, he hasn't been knocking people out. But if he catches you with the right shot, a lot of the guys he fights, if you watch him, they go on the defensive because he just drowns them out by getting close inside and just whacking them over and over. He hits whatever he can. So I think it's going to be interesting for as long as it goes. Let's go to a phone call real quick here, fellas. Let's go to 773. Hold on a second. 773. You're on the air. 773. What's on your mind?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
What's up?
Yo.
Yeah, shit, gotta say. Jojo Diaz, he had his hit list. I want to fight this guy, then I want to fight Tank Davis, and this and that. Yeah, well, that's going to go out the window real quick with that performance. Fat L. People criticizing Devin Haney. Come on, dude. Jojo Diaz, you're supposed to get in there and make a fight out of it. You know what he's going to do. He's going to stick and move and outbox you. You got to get on the inside and make a fight. Make it ugly. You spent too much time on your on the back end, getting picked apart, and then he waited to the last round to actually go and try to take him out. You should have been doing that since the jump. Just not enough aggression, not enough activity, and a lot of that talk about fighting this guy. Oh, no, I want to beat him. I want to fight Tank Davis. Then I'll fight Ryan Garcia. Yeah, you're back to the journeyman. You're back to the journeyman role.
Listen, at 135, dude, he is a gatekeeper. I agree. Jojo Diaz.
I was expecting him to go in there and try to take this dude out. Instead, he was more worried about not getting knocked out. He just with his high guard and.
Well, Kevin, you know why? Because in those early rounds, Haney was hitting too hard.
He's going to beat Kambosa. No doubt about it. He's a better boxer, more crisp, more technical. But I will say this, Kambosa is going to go out there and put a way better fight than this Jojo Diaz did. He's going to go out there and try to take him out. Jojo Diaz is just pathetic. Just let him outbox him.
Devin Haney looked average yesterday. Devin Haney looked very average.
He didn't look.
He looked average, bro.
You're right. He didn't look spectacular.
There's nothing special about that kid. I'm sorry to say.
He's just not the guy, right? Recognize?
Nope. I mean, based it on that performance, it was just he gets knocked the fuck out. As soon as I don't know who's gonna do it, but as soon as somebody can follow up, not like Jojo Diaz who hits him with one good shot and then fucking just stands there. I'm talking about a guy that follow it up. They're gonna spark him out.
Even Linares, bro, he's not a finisher. He's not known to go facing people, and he had him hurt, and he didn't jump on him.
Well, what needs to happen is they need to stop comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. And if you just judge him by what he is, as his own fighter, as his own man, he's a pretty good fighter. But stop these promoters, man. I know that's their job. They got to promote and they got to attach the name of their fighter to an all-time great. But it ultimately does more harm than good, especially when that guy.
He better stay away from Lomachenko because he's going to look pretty silly. It's going to that comment. I mean, no white boy's ever going to beat me. Remember that fucking
I
comment?
forgot about that.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't. That would become a meme.
Jimmy. Loud and clear.
What?
He says.
As far as Jojo Diaz goes, he just didn't have the warrior spirit, man. He just didn't have the warrior spirit. He wasn't pressing forward enough. He's getting picked apart. And I thought this dude, people were hyping this up. Like, this dude's, he's going to go out there and beat us. This guy's got a real shot. He's really, whatever. He didn't impress me. Just another
who was hyping it up, though? And I'm only asking because we didn't have a show on it. Who was hyping him up? Like, when we talked about it, I think none of us actually really gave Diaz, I don't think any of us gave him even a shot. I actually thought Haney was going to beat him worse than he did, or more convincingly. I don't rate Jojo Diaz as a lightweight at all.
He did as best as he could.
Michael Montero said,
Jojo Diaz is not fucking Canelo or a Triple G. So, fucking Haney's looking average, but he's facing a guy that's marching forward, acting or pretending like he's a fucking Canelo that's going to break you and beat you down when we know he's not that guy. So what does that say about Haney? It's a mirage. He did good, but what's going to happen when he faces a true puncher?
Exactly. I don't think it's going to bode well for him.
Well, listen.
I was thinking to myself, man, I could see this guy outboxing Teofimo, and then Teo just catches him with a fucking hard punch and just gets him out of there.
Oh, yeah. And the reason why, to Kevin's point, the reason why Jojo didn't go at him that way, went at him like that way in the last round, is because when Haney was still fresher, he had more on his punches. And he had him all turtled up. In those first 3 rounds when the fighter is throwing his hottest punches, I mean, fucking Diaz just muffin-eared the whole fucking, pretty much those 3 rounds, did nothing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was just trying to gauge what was happening right back at him. But I mean, look, Jojo Diaz, I like the performance he put forth, and Devin Haney never stopped throwing. Is he invincible? Of course not. So if he loses, which I expect him to win in the next 2-3 years, I'm not going to say exposed, because I already know he's got his limitations. He's not invincible. He's not the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world. But I do think he could have beaten Lopez, man. And speaking of Lopez, so people are saying in the chat, a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about whether he did indeed have some form of ailment. Well, according to the ESPN article, let me put it up here, because I know Jimmy also sent me a snippet. So they're talking with a doctor, right? She says she found out about the condition, which could have resulted from a torn oesophagus. Is that how you say in English? How do you say that? Oesophagus,
Esophagus.
Right? Esophagus. Yeah, esophagus. Esophagus, right. Now, he apparently, it says the article, the symptoms only surfaced after he started rehydrating. He went to a restaurant. So she said esophagus, whatever the fuck you say. I think it might be, right. I think it might have been because he overate, maybe. Maybe he was just gorging himself on food after the fight. I don't know. But the interesting thing,
he suffers from asthma. And, and look, I have a little bit of experience with people with asthma. I don't have it, but I've had like a younger brother who had it, and a daughter. The one thing about that, there's some truth to, like, maybe they grow out of it, but it never truly leaves. Never absolutely leaves. Like, there's some times where there's 2 examples that many examples, but I'm going to give you 2 where I was with my younger brother. He was probably around 17, 16, and we were exercising. He was trying to exercise as much as I was, and he was doing it. Then he was like, "Bro, hold on, I can't breathe." Like one of those type of things. And he went down. I had to hold him up. He started hyperventilating. Me and my daughter, one day we went jogging, right? And the same thing with her. She said, "Daddy, I gotta stop. So it never truly leaves, even though they work out good and they have this strength that is unbelievable. So Teofimo has all the signs that, at least that I'm aware of, when it comes to asthma, which is a lot of strength, a lot of power, and poor stamina. That's why he lacks creativity in the ring. A lot of that, I believe, is him saving himself, because he doesn't want one of those bad episodes in the middle of a fucking fight, because that happens, the fight's over for you,
But here's what I'm interested in is that people are saying, well, the doctor wouldn't release, because they're talking to the doctor that examined him. Now, the doctor, as far as I'm concerned, wouldn't just talk about this with the media if they asked him, "Hey, what's wrong with Teofimo?" I mean, that's patient-doctor confidentiality. But Teofimo Lopez is quoted in this article. So my guess is,
right,
if this is indeed true, he's the one that's telling them, yeah, you can talk about it. So he's coming up with an excuse. Yeah. So whether the excuse is valid or not, let's keep it real. That's what people said about Lomachenko. If he had an injury coming in, he should not have fought. That's his own goddamn fault. So it's the same thing.
He would have to sign a HIPAA. He would have to sign a release, a HIPAA form. Because yes, you can't even, like, if I was your brother, dude, I couldn't go into a doctor's office and ask about you. You know what I mean? Exactly. They would say no unless they sign a form allowing me. So of course he gave that doctor permission, probably even, because how did they find that? How did the press know to talk to that doctor? Obviously he set up the call.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it seems like they're trying, because again, Lomachenko never said, "Hey, my shoulder was screwed up." Initially, it was his team that said, "Oh, by the way, he's going into surgery right after the fight." So then people started saying, "Oh, excuses." So look, Lopez says he didn't know what was wrong with him, but he evidently felt that there was something wrong with him. He himself said, "I didn't want to cancel the fight." So guess what? If Lomachenko's an idiot for going to that fight injured against Lopez, then Lopez is an idiot as well for going to that fight with whatever ailment he had.
You do dirt, BDA, you get dirt right back.
Exactly.
It always comes back.
Happened to Wilder as well. Hey, you know what? Hey, Recognize brought a good point, and maybe that's why he fights like a counterpuncher. He waits until you open up, then he's going to go off what you do and fight in spurts. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know.
He reminds me, I'm telling you, Gonzalo, he reminds me of a dude who has problems with like breathing problems, asthma, allergies, and shit like that. That they have those type of issues. They're really fucking strong because of the medicine they take, but they have bad stamina, bro.
Let's just give him his respirator between rounds.
Yeah, put him in some sort of like a steam room or something to get those lungs to open up. I don't know, something. I mean, the guy's got to breathe, for Pete's sakes. But yeah, man. I mean, look, listen. It was a nice little set of fights last night. Today we got some more. I'm looking forward to the Davis-Cruz fight. Although now that caller with the one with the who was talking about the gambling, he sort of got me thinking maybe there's some shenanigans afoot, and that fight's not going to be on the level. By the way,
always some shenanigans on the scorecards. Always,
man. I wish you weren't.
I mean, look at the fight yesterday. I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't agree with those scorecards. I mean, I thought Devin Haney won, but it was like barely won.
Really?
Like 7-5 at best.
Whoa.
For me,
I thought it was because I understand what you.
I mean, listen, to each his own, but 9 rounds to 3. I mean, I didn't see that shit.
Is it because you didn't see Haney landing so many clean shots, or?
I didn't see him really land that many clean shots, and I saw him get hurt in a lot of those rounds, man. You know, he's first 3 rounds, okay, probably give it to him if you want to give him the first 3. But from there on out, he started losing rounds. He was losing a lot of rounds. I didn't think he won 9, that's for sure. 7-5. I thought he won 7 rounds to 5.
Yeah, to me, Jojo did not win that fight, but he was doing like every time. There would be times where Haney would throw like 3-punch combo, most of them blocked or parried. Then he would throw another 3-punch combo, then another 3-punch combo, and then in between, boom, Jojo Diaz would hit him with a clean left hand, and the crowd would not react because they weren't, swish. They didn't have that, that when the
BDA, somebody needs to advise him. Stop trying to act like Floyd, bro. That's not a good move, especially when you're not that good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not as good as him. You know what I'm saying? You're setting yourself up for failure. He tries to mimic him to the like he's Cole. I don't know if you guys remember Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Like Kobe Bryant sounds exactly like him. You know what I'm saying? They sound exactly the same. They act the same. It's weird. I'm thinking like that kid worked on that, meaning Kobe Bryant worked on acting exactly like Michael Jordan. But at least he turned out to be close to him. I don't think he was as good as Michael Jordan, but this kid got a long way to go. He's a good competitor. Like, dude, come up with your own words. Like, don't try to dick ride what some older guy did, and you're not that good. 135 Mayweather wipes the floor with this Haney.
Yeah,
and he would have been a smaller. And he would have been a smaller guy than Devin, but he still would have wiped the floor with him.
Yeah, I'm not sure he makes it to the top of the pound for pound list. The way, again, look, in this business, to be the top pound for pound guy in the world, you gotta have it all, or at least a mix of, like, for example, Whitaker didn't have punching power, but he was so much better than everybody else as a boxer. He could fight inside, outside, keep people turning, had a good chin, good stamina. Chavez, he had that solid chin, good power, good defense, which people don't give him. Well, actually, now people are giving credit for it. So you see where I'm going. You need to have a mix of everything. Haney has good defense. He can hold his own on the inside, but that lack of power, I think. And the fact that he's a very skillful boxer, but he's not the most skilled guy out there. There's other guys that you look at them, you go, whoa, this guy's skill level is off the charts. Like Usyk, for example. Well, you don't see that with Devin Haney.
You know what? You brought an interesting point up that hasn't been like said anywhere, I believe. You mentioned pound for pound. Nobody's talking about it like he's cracking the top 10 or nothing close to that. When Teofimo won, they mentioned his name. Oh, yeah, maybe he's pound for pound. But with this guy, no. Okay, yeah, he did good. He won. But is anybody saying he's cracking the top 10 or 15? Nope, they're not. But going back to what you were saying with Usyk.
No, you're a very good point, Gonzalo. Yeah, that's the thing. No. It seems like this performance calmed people down because, look, he won the fight. Don't get me wrong. He won the fight. I disagree a little bit with Recognize. I thought it was, but I can see where Recognize is coming from because a lot of the shots Haney was throwing were being picked off. So it was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. And I don't see many other people beating Jojo Diaz the way Haney did. But I think it did slow down a lot of this Haney hype. about how he's some sort of pound for pounder. Real quick, let's go to a phone call here in 914. You're on the air, 914. What's on your mind?
Hi, guys. This is Fernando. I was going to say, do you guys by any chance remember the Demetrius Andrade fight that he had with Willie Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, so in that fight, if you recall, Demetrius had enough power to cut through Willie Nelson's high guard a couple of times with power. Like, yeah, he has speed and accuracy, but you need that little bit of power to pierce through the guard sometimes to get to your opponent in the face or whatever the target is. I feel like Haney has the speed, he has the accuracy, but he doesn't have the power to pierce through the guard and really connect the target. And I think that's why one of the panelists had it like 7-5, because maybe you could argue that Haney was hitting a lot of gloves instead of like really being able to get through to Jojo Diaz. And then another thing is he looks really affected by the weight cut, because I'm pretty sure his punching resistance will go up when he moves up to 140 pounds. But I don't know if I don't know what the power situation is going to be once he moves up to 140.
That's a good point, man.
Well,
that's a good question. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
He doesn't. Well, I was going to say, Haney doesn't punch through his target. He doesn't punch through. So that's the reason why he wasn't piercing the guard. You could tell he was throwing it just enough out to hit. You know what I mean? But he wasn't trying to punch through with great force. A couple times he did when he thought he had him open,
I mean, I don't know what the strategy was. He did say he had some type of hand injury at the end of the fight. I would have liked to seen more hooks, like left hooks, right hooks, to get around the guard. But he did win decisively. I kind of had it at an 8-4. But the power thing is definitely a concern. And then also the punch resistance is also definitely a concern as he starts fighting more, a natural 135-pounder, a natural 140-pounder when he does move up. I think he's going to try to get the Cambosos fight as a last fight as a 135-pounder, win or lose. And then he's just going to go to 140 because somebody said, I think it was Ring IQ Boxing said Devin Haney was 149 pounds the morning after he started rehydrating.
Yeah, because I heard something that he was 155 actually or something like that. But yeah, 149. Jeez.
In the morning he was 149. So by fight night he must have been definitely in the mid 150s or, it must have been something. But yeah, if he's cutting that much, definitely taking something away. But once again, I don't know if the power, like definitely he'll get more punch resistance once he moves up, but I don't know about the power.
Yeah, this guy's going the Teofimo Lopez route. He's going to have to move up real soon because, man, 149, that's...
But that's really not unheard of, believe it or not, from 135.
I know, but
yeah,
it's
14
still...
in the age of the day before weigh-ins, like that, would have never happened before because the same day weigh-ins. But that's the problem with this, is people are able to manipulate it like that. But that's probably average, people putting on 15 pounds.
So you say that's going to catch up to him. I mean, I don't think he can. That's 15 pounds, and he's got no fat. So, God.
And one thing that Eddie Hearn does is, as part of Matchroom Cards, he makes them weigh in the morning, and then he does a ceremonial weigh-in in the afternoon, like kind of how UFC does it. So that 4 p.m. weigh-in, when he weighed in with his watch, he had a watch on and a chain on. That wasn't the actual weigh-in. He was already somewhat hydrated at that point.
Makes sense.
Same thing with Teofimo Lopez. They did the real weigh-in in the morning, and then what you see at the presser weigh-in, that was just ceremonial. They already started rehydrating well after they weighed in the morning.
That's going to catch up to him eventually, man. All that water weight, whatever. I mean, it's still a grueling process. But anyway, listen, caller, good call. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? Catch you.
All right, guys, keep up the good work.
Thank you, man. Take it easy. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to
914 today.
Yeah, good call. 914. Another 914. You're on the air. 914. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. I've been a boxing fan for like 64 years. And I have to tell you that some of the great lightweights that were around when I was younger, like Alexis Arguello or Roberto Duran, how would they fight the guy like Devin Haney? They would destroy him. He's not a puncher, and he's not an instinctual fighter. And I wasn't impressed by him at all. What do you guys think?
Who wants to go with that one?
I was going to say Alexis Arguello is probably one of my favorite all-time fighters, so I'm biased, but I 100% agree. And like you said, he's not instinctual. He's not a fighter. All those guys you mentioned were fighters back when there was hundreds of thousands of more people competing in the sport. So by sheer number, you were dealing with a greater class of fighters. And you know what I mean? So you had to fight a lot. And again, that has a lot to do with it, especially someone like Haney, who depends on being crisp and accurate. You don't fight a lot. These 2 times a year fights, he's just never going to progress anywhere near these guys you mentioned. And that's my opinion on that.
So another one was Salvador Sanchez. He was the greatest fighter I ever saw.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Jimmy.
Well, Caller, where
thank you, brother.
Caller, where do you see Devin Haney going from here?
I don't see him going very far. I think that Gervonta Davis would knock him out. Not that I think that much of Gervonta Davis, but I think that Devin Haney is just your average fighter that's holding a title belt, and he's got not much longer to go. Somebody's going to get rid of him. He doesn't have very good defense. He got hit by a lot of punches, and he has very, very soft hands.
Damn, all right. Well, there you have it.
I know, BDA, you're not supposed to look at it that way, but I share the caller's sentiment. I was thinking to myself, damn, if that's Tank Davis, right? Because it's just a habit, right? That doesn't mean that's going to happen. I'm saying to myself, Tank probably stops this dude. I'm thinking to myself, Teofimo probably catches him at least. Come on, out of 12 rounds, he's going to catch him with one big shot.
Well, because the size, dude. Diaz you're talking about, right? About last night. When you were saying that, I was saying the same thing. Yeah, because Diaz is the same height, throws the punches, a lot of the same angles. And I was thinking the exact same thing, dude. I'm like, oh, man, if this was Tank, those punches are going to land even quicker with much more zip. But sorry to step on you, brother. Finish your point.
No, that's exactly it. And I know that's not the way to do it because we've seen this before, right? We've seen like a guy do bad against a former opponent of a guy he's about to fight next, and he struggled with the same guy where the other guy didn't, and then they get into a fight and it's pretty much even, right? But I'm thinking to myself, man, if these guys are catching him with big shots late, especially late, that's the key, because you're both tired, right? But one guy's committed to hitting you harder, right? And so who's got the advantage on that one? You know, it's going to be the guy that's still hitting hard. He's tired just like you, but he's going to have the advantage because you're going to be tired as well.
Even a Ryan Garcia, honestly, I mean, Ryan Garcia is kind of fucked up in the head. He's not fighting, but look, he's got that Manila Ice, you know, that quick check left hook where that punch is like right close to your opponent's face. What is it, 6 to 1 feet away from the target? Because if you extend your hands like the old school fighters used to do, and you got that punch where you slightly, ever so slightly, like if you turn it ever so slightly, turn the punch, you can connect the target. So when you're going in there and it's just like the swiping of a tablet, you're fucking flicking that fucking shot, and you're catching motherfuckers like Ryan Garcia with that quick left hook. He can also get fucking caught like that.
Well, Caller, you certainly got us going with that conversation.
Kambosos beat Devin Haney.
You think Kambosos beats Devin
Haney?
Haney? Well,
he could.
Oh yeah, I think he would bring it to him, and Devin Haney couldn't handle it. He'd knock him out.
Well, because Kambosos got the chin. He can keep bringing it and keep closing the distance and put in the pressure because he got the chin.
Well, listen, Caller.
Yeah, Kambosos, and Devin Haney doesn't look like he has the chin.
Yeah, Devin Haney. Well, it remains to be seen, man. But okay, so now we've got a lot of people that were not impressed then with Devin Haney. Caller, good call. We got to move on, but thank you for calling in. Call back next time, right, man?
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Take it easy. All right, let's go to. Don't forget to hit the like button, fellas. Hit the like. 714, you're on the air. 714, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on? BDA Boxing. Love your guys' stuff.
Thank you, man.
I just wanted to say Haney didn't impress me at all, man.
Oh.
I was watching that fight, and I kept thinking to myself, if this is the Haney we see versus like if he fights Kambosos, Kambosos is going to rock him up.
That's an interesting caller. I don't know if you've been listening to the whole show, but we've had about what's the ratio I would say? It's about 3-1. 3 people displeased with Devin Haney and only 1 person going, listen, give him his credit. Usually when people go give him his credit, it means, yeah, it was a bad fight, but let's look at the positive.
Well, I mean, let's think of it like this, right? I'm watching this fight, and there were a few rounds, right, where Diaz could have he really could have put pressure on Haney, but didn't do it. Like when he started building that fire, he cooled his own jets down, and I'm going, dude, he like to me, Haney didn't win that fight, dude. The other guy lost the fight.
I don't know, man. I don't see Jojo. I think Haney did what he had to. He kept him at the end of the shots. He moved.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think Haney just, like I said, if that's who he's going to be going against, if that's the Haney we see and he's fighting Kambosos, dude, that's not going to work, man. That style, that game plan, that's not going to work against Kambosos at all.
Well, let me ask you this, man, because somebody in the chat, Carleon Mello says, give credit where credit is due. 8 rounds to 4 isn't a bad fight. What do you think about that? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, he did win most of the rounds there, and he beat a guy who's a competent fighter. Why did we expect from him?
No, go ahead.
No, that's what I'm asking you. Like, what did we expect from him? Why is this a bad performance?
It's to me what it is, because I think it's because I'm watching the fight, and I'm telling myself, I'm going, okay, so this guy's, I mean, it's not that Haney was garbage. I'm not saying he was garbage. What I'm saying is that, like, the other guy was just, he seemed like there were, like, in the 4th round, he really turned it up. And in the 5th round, he really turned it up, but then he would back off. I don't know if he was burning himself out or what, but it would seem like in the mid to late rounds, he would start getting up there. And Haney was getting in trouble. There were shots where Haney took. He was wobbly. He was getting a little shaky up there. And I'm telling you, if he's not going to do that against Kambosos. Kambosos has got a granite chin, dude. He's going to eat them shots, and he's going to come after you. He's going to take chances. He's not going to turn the fire up and then cool himself down.
That's a good point, man. But is Kambosos going to have a tight guard like Jojo Diaz said?
I don't know, man. I don't think Diaz is like I said. I think Diaz, he lost that fight to me. Diaz could have won that fight if he had more dog in him.
I agree with the caller. I agree. I thought the same thing too.
Or if he would have displayed a little bit more of a punch variation.
I truly believe
he was successful with the left hook. Yeah.
Diaz, or when he would take chances and it would kind of pay off. I'm telling you, if Haney, I don't think he's a bad fighter. I'm not saying he's a bad boxer. I'm just saying he can't play. He's not going to get in there, just if he thinks it's kind of like with Lopez, right? Lopez didn't have a game plan when he fought Kambosos. That's why he lost. Lopez thought he was just going to get in there, whip his ass, and go home and eat dinner.
That's true,
right?
Yeah, man.
And if Haney does the same thing against Kambosos, it's not going to work out for that guy, dude.
Well,
let me ask you a question. Did in your opinion, BDA, did Haney do any better than Gary Russell when he fought JoJo?
No.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Well, he's asking, do you think Gary Russell Jr., do you think Haney did any better than Gary Russell Jr. against JoJo?
Yes, I do think he did. Yes, I do. I do.
Interesting. You know what? I'd actually have to rewatch the Gary Russell fight.
I thought it was about the same. I thought it was about the same, except that it was more of there was more excitement in that fight. Gary Russell and JoJo.
Listen, dude, JoJo, I kept watching this fight going, dude, turn up the energy. You got it. He would hit Haney. Haney would get wobbled. He would just stop.
Well, you got to think also that he went up in weight, so he's not going to be as flashy and as fast with that amateur style. That certainly was not going to work against Haney. So he changed it up, and he kind of did as good as he could with what he has. And what he doesn't have is punching power. So what he had, he did okay. That's as far as he could have stretched it, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that fight, man. Hopefully Kambosos and Haney can make it happen. Maybe if Garcia comes back and proves himself, maybe he can throw himself in the mix, or Gervonta Davis if Mayweather's willing to get him in there against some of these guys. But listen, caller, good call. Call back next time, all right, man?
Thanks, guys. I love like I said, love your guys' channel. Love what you guys do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, man. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. Evening, rather.
You too.
All right, let's go to 818. Hold on a second. 818. 818, you're on the air. 818.
Hey, hello, BDA.
How you doing, man?
Can you hear me, BDA?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to call in about last night's fight. Man, it was a rough watch, man. It's Haney. Man, for me, when I'm watching, look, man, Jojo Diaz has no power, man. He literally cannot punch. Did you see him last night throw his everything into every punch that caught Haney? And he couldn't do anything, man. His hands bounced off his chin, man. It was, after you see a guy can't punch like that, and you're Haney's size, I expect you to walk him down and just give him a beating and try to make him quit, man. It was pretty disappointing, and it was just, I don't know, man. Every time I watch a Haney fight, it's like more red flags just pop up, you know? It's weird.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. Somebody said that every time he fights, it raises more questions than it answers. He won on the scorecard, so people say, well, you can't blame him for that, but you can't refuse the fact or reject the fact that he looks shaky in there, man. He looks shaky to the body, to the head.
He's getting pushed back by Jojo Diaz, and I like Jojo Diaz, but Jojo Diaz cannot crack, and he's not that strong. Like, and you're getting pushed back by this guy. You're almost double his size. Devin Haney could be a 147 or whatever. He's huge.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, it was bizarre. Let's see what happens. I think he can beat Who do you think, before we move on, caller, who do you think? Kambosos, Haney? How do you see that one going?
You know what? After yesterday, I give Kambosos a very good chance, man. He took He took one of Teo's best shots, and even though Teo looked terrible, he still took it. And his legs kind of buckled when he got knocked down in that 10th round. But he came back strong, and then he mauled Teofimo, man. I think if Kambosos, Kambosos isn't reckless, and he goes in there and he does that same game plan where he mauls an opponent, I think Haney will be in trouble, man. Even a stoppage, because Kambosos is a lot bigger than Jojo, and he's definitely a lot stronger.
Interesting, man.
Devin Haney, man. And if it's in Australia, he's not going to get that preferential judging, man. He's not going to get that fight. So I doubt he goes there. And trust me, he won't. That's just all Eddie Hearn talking shit, There's no way he's going.
Well, listen, a very interesting call, man, and appreciate you calling in. Call back next time, right, man?
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good Sunday.
Man. You too, man. Have a good Sunday. Wonderful Sunday. It is a beautiful Sunday here. We're in the smack dab in the middle of winter here. Some people hate it when here in Canada when at 5 p.m. it's already dark as night. Me, I like it, man. I feel like I'm in my element. Can roam around. Nobody can see me.
Right now it's 70-something degrees and rainy. Wow, man.
It's pitch black here in New England too. Yeah. BDA likes it, man. He likes to creep. It's funny.
I didn't call it creeping, man. I said I like to roam. There's a difference between creeping and roaming. Come on, Jimmy. But, hey, did you guys catch the Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur fight?
Yes, but
I did.
I don't know what Lyndon Arthur. He didn't have nowhere near the same energy for the. I don't know. He went down. I thought the ref should have let him. He didn't really protest, so what can I say? The ref just called the fight off. He took too long to get up, though. That I will say.
What do you think about the stoppage with that kid Love at 140 last night with that kid Diaz? Oh, it was brutal. Brutal stoppage.
I mean, brutal for people that didn't see it.
Good stoppage or?
Yeah, for people that didn't see it, brutal in the sense that it was an awful
bad
stoppage. Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
There's always they're always trying to push a certain, like a certain fighter to make him out to be better than he really is.
Well, he knocked the dude down. He got knocked down 3 times in the round before. He didn't call it then. But then in the next round, the glove didn't even make contact with the dude's head, and he called the fight. It was insane, man. Crazy. It was like the ref was saying, what did I tell you guys about hitting each other? He just jumped the fuck in there.
Yeah, man,
weirdo.
Hey, man, let me listen. Love, he's got quick hands, good reflexes. Let's see what he does at 140. It's definitely gonna spice things up over at the zone. In with regards to the Lyndon Arthur fight versus Yardy, I think it's Yardy. Yardy, he showed that I like what he did in there. He modified his style. He was able to fight on the inside, and Arthur just couldn't fight on the inside. He looked wholly out of place in there, and I like what I saw from Yard. So let's see if Yard lives up. By the way, Yard's already 30. I thought he was younger. So
yeah, he started boxing kind of late too. He comes from that background,
right?
I believe, yeah.
And
he's built like a fucking football player.
That's what I'm saying. It's this guy. He doesn't look like a boxer. That's for sure. But he's strong.
They say he's 6 feet, but I feel like he's shorter than that. What's his name? Yardy. You know that Yardy boy.
By the way, he spars his coach. I think that's his main sparring partner. His fat coach. They're always sparring on camera. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, bad news, man, from Japan. I think most already heard it, but man, Golovkin Murata postponed. Ioka versus Ancajas postponed because of the new Omnisphere or whatever it's called variant. Which I mean, at this point,
Omicron.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. I mean, they're just gonna come up with stuff nowadays, man. They're just gonna start making stuff up. The new, machine variant, the Dragon Ball Z variant.
The Omni variant. The South African virologist who discovered it. I mean, of course, they swiped her right off the fucking map right away. But her first announcement was, I'm shocked by the way the West is handling it because we don't even have anybody here hospitalized with it. We don't even find it to be, we don't even know if it's nearly as infectious or as deadly. In fact, they don't think it is. Usually most strains aren't. So they're just like, we know what this is all about.
Yeah, we know, man.
There's another way to get people to get the
you know what it is, recognize? It's another way to screw up my boxing year. That's what it is. Motherfuckers.
That too.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to swear
that
much.
No boxing for you. No boxing for you.
Yo, BDA, so what does that mean, guys? Does GGG schedule a fight against another opponent that's not a Japanese in Japan?
Well, I haven't heard. No, first, he can't fight in Japan at all. That's for sure. Because they're not letting new people. They're not letting foreigners.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not in Japan, which is not going to be the Japanese guy. So somebody else.
Is it 100% BDA? I thought the door was still open, that they might still be able to try to work something out. I don't know.
From what I heard,
is it really completely? So it's shut down now. Fuck.
Let me check the news, man. Let me check.
Such bullshit, man. It's fucking bullshit.
Well, it's the Japanese. They got masks all year round. Why would they? It is postponed. It is absolutely postponed. Maybe why didn't? Is it really that much last minute? Or maybe maybe you know what it is too. Murata doesn't want to go abroad because then maybe it would complicate things going back into Japan or something like that. And look, check this headline out. This is from Sporting News. Gennady Golovkin fight versus Ryota Murata postponed amid COVID concerns. So it's not even they don't even have it figured out. It's just like let's just not take a risk. That's all. That's great. So we still got Lomachenko versus Comey. We still got Madrimov. Israel Madrimov is going to be taking on Michel Soro. That's a very, very interesting fight.
They're breeding. They're trying to breed a world, not a nation, a world of sensitive people, sensitive human beings that they worried about. A cough, basically. I start coughing. Oh, everybody's looking at you now. Just think about that for a second. Like before all this happened, people would cough all the time, and maybe you were like, let me stay away from that guy. But you wouldn't think to yourself, oh shit, I might die.
Exactly. We used to cough on each other for fun back in elementary school. It was a game.
Yeah.
Who can cuff the most? Who can cuff the most on somebody? But those days are long gone, man. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, Madronov. That's another guy called the Dream, no, like Devin Haney, the Dream.
Is that what they call him? I thought it was like the.
I think so.
Eastern European.
That name don't fit fucking Haney. No, sorry for my cousin. That name don't fit Haney. No, the Dream. So you're looking at big ass nostrils, fucking can't crack out the Dream.
He looks like he came out of a dream. No, but the joke is that he puts the people to sleep, the audience. So it's what it is.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I don't know.
So it's appropriate to call him a Dream.
Yeah, man. Official says he's rooting for Soros in that fight. As long as you're not rooting for Soros, then we should be good. But yeah, that's a good fight, man. Madrimov versus Michel Soros.
I tell you right now, that laugh is creepy, BDA.
Oh, come on, that's my sarcastic.
I know, that's your signature. That's your signature laugh.
Hey, let's go to a phone call here. We got the wild card. Okay, stop it, man. Wait, let's go to the wild card line here. 111, you're on the air. 111, what's on your mind?
Bonjour, this is Jean-Jacques Richelieu. How are you?
Who is this?
Jean-Jacques Richelieu. How are you?
Jean-Jacques. From France. Oh, we got a French caller. See, I always tell people we got fans from all over the place, man. This is interesting. So, how you doing, man? Thank you for calling in, French guy.
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. I would like to start off by saying that you have a very interesting show. In many ways, it is a very French show. It is sophisticated, filled with keen analysis, philosophical tidbits, and of course, that French wit.
Well, listen, I always say we try to keep it topical.
Sounds like you, BDA.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Huh? But listen, if you're talking about sophisticated show, I think we probably listen to the whole
that
show.
Was good.
See, there you go, mon ami. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but listen, we got a lot of other things we got to move on to here. So, what's
Does
on
your dog bite? You sound like Pink Panther, dude. Peter Sellers.
He does, huh?
He's probably going for Michel Soros. No, he's rooting for Michel Soros.
Yeah, we should ask him that. But not seriously, what's on your mind, man? What do you want to talk about? Because we got to move on here.
Bien sûr. I would like to talk about Teofimo Lopez.
Well, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you.
A lot of people have been talking about Lopez and how you say he's a vagabond of a father.
Right.
And I think there is hope yet for Teofimo Lopez.
Really? You think there's still hope for Teofimo Lopez? You're one of those guys. You think he can still rise?
Absolument. Lopez, you see, fulfills the concept of the anti-hero.
The anti-what?
Oh, no. The anti-hero, anti-hero. He is a man who does not fit the conventional archetype of the hero, but who is nevertheless a compelling hero. One that can reach incredible lows, but still rise from the ashes like the phoenix. It is also very coincidental that the man who beat him, George Kambosos, is Greek. For I believe he has imbued some of his Greek essence into Teofimo Lopez.
Interesting little theory there, Jean-Jacques. But how does one imbue the essence of a fighter onto another fighter? How does that? I don't understand how that works.
Well, this probably happened when he was being proverbially ass-fucked during the fight.
Okay, come on. Listen, that type of language on Sunday. No, but I don't like if I get guys. Maybe I'm getting it incorrectly. Maybe I'm not hearing him properly with the accent. But what is the concept of the anti-hero? How does that work out for Lopez? What does it have to do with him?
Well, it's simple in a way. If he wants to fulfill the prophecy of the anti-hero, he needs to stay in France. And I am adamant about this. He needs to come over to France and stay in France for a prolonged period of time. He needs to train in France. He needs to breathe in France, eat the French food, eat the French pussy. He needs to be French.
Well, okay, but what's so special about France? I don't understand. How is France going to help him?
But first, in France, we have modern training techniques. We do not train our fighters 5-6 days a week. No. Here in France, we train 3 days a week. And the rest is for rest. 4 days a week of rest.
3 days a week? That sounds like a very small amount of time to train for a professional fight, wouldn't you say?
Well, of course, you Americans are always in a hurry. And let's not even speak of that garbage dump that people call England.
Oh, come on.
No. If you are training 5-6 days a week, your spirit becomes deflated. It forgets what it is fighting for. Of course, how can you fight if you've never had the time to enjoy a nice cafe? How can you fight if you've never seen the best that French cinema has to offer?
That's true.
How can you fight if you've never slept with a fat, airy French woman? No.
Oh.
On this, there can be no compromise.
All right. Well, listen. Now I understand why there hasn't been that many good French fighters. They're training 3 times a week. We just get it here first. Is that Pepe Le Pew? Well, that's why they fight like Pepe Le Pew, because they only train 3 fights. They only train 3 times a week, man. What the fuck?
Oh, non. Oh là là. Non, mon ami. Là, ça va pas se passer comme ça, mon ami. Non.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Du respect. C'est la seule façon que ça va marcher ici, mon ami. Mon pote.
Listen, we're just... Okay. Joshing around. We're joshing around. That's what we do on this show. We just horse around. We know. Listen, French people, they had their colonies. You know, they colonized North Africa and North America. So it's we know you can fight, man. Come on.
Okay, but the French, we can fight. We know we have the ugly stereotype that we cannot fight, but of course we can fight just as well, if not better, than most people.
There you go. Well, listen, we got to move on here, French guy. But thank you for. If people want to read more about the archetype of the anti-hero as it pertains to boxing, where can people read this? Where can people look more into this?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm currently working on my dissertation at l'École supérieure normale de France. And you will be able to read it if you pay a small fee. I wish I could make it gratuit, how you say in English, free. But, it is the way the university, they do things.
Well, I certainly understand that. I used to be in the academia myself, so I know how that works. So you should just go all, French philosopher on these people, rebel philosopher, and just release it on your own. Who gives a fuck, right?
I might do that. I am, how you say in English, a crazy motherfucker, so I might do that.
All right, well, listen, thank you. Thank you for your call. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you on the next one.
That was good.
Catch you on the next one.
Okay, bonne journée.
Yeah, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Right.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. All right,
That
so you can
good.
see, man.
Bonjour.
What the fuck? We got fans from all over the place. So, hey, listen, guys, who's recognized? I know you got it all, man. You're living the high life. Are you gonna be purchasing the fucking Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz fight?
No. Yes. There you go. I'm undecided right now.
Really?
I might.
But I mean, you're gonna watch it. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah, I'll watch it. We on the Discord got a lot of resources, so
Well, you shouldn't say that, man. You shouldn't say that. But
I'll just say we have a lot of resources, and I'll leave it at that.
But you should pay for it, because remember what Mayweather told us in the exhibition with Jake Paul. He fucking how do you say it? He did like a robbery, like a legal robbery. Therefore, we should support them.
I still can't wrap my head around the fact that this fight was actually supposed to be Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero, an unproven guy if there ever was one in the world of boxing.
Because you show the level of contentment that fucking Floyd has for the fans.
Absolutely,
actually, I know, like Steve Kim, right? Was shocked. He couldn't even believe it. I mean, that would have been about as bad as it can get.
BDA, do you think Mayweather makes money off Tank Davis, or he's just like he helps him?
Well, he definitely takes his cut, right, Jimmy? I mean, that's the standard.
Oh yeah, no, he's making money. That's the reason why they're on pay-per-view, Gonzalo. Because if he was put on Showtime, these fights like this fight particular, Steven Espinoza definitely would have bought. This would have been a Showtime fight. It's just except Showtime wouldn't have paid the fighters what they're getting for it, and nor would have it would have been just a fraction of the money the promotional company would have got if it went on Showtime. So that's the only reason why. So he's purposely sticking it to the fans, and at the same token, fucking flushing that kid's legacy down the fucking drain, so he can make a few extra bucks.
Yeah.
So you think he's in cahoots with Stefan Espinosa? Interesting.
No,
I thought it was more like
no, not in cahoots. What I mean is, Stefan Espinosa would have paid for that fight. That's a fight that would have made Showtime, because some fights he doesn't want to put on is not worth it. Because what it is, like he has X amount of dollars every year for put aside for combat sports. Bellator has taken a big chunk of that. So, and I also want to say it doesn't bode well for fucking PBC's Fox relationship that Sean Porter is now working for DAZN, doing because remember he did a fight for Fox. That's where he got his chops. But Fox didn't hire him. DAZN did. So I don't think that deal going forward is going to produce much.
Sean Porter had it lined up. He had it all lined up. That Sean Porter
never thanked Al Heyman in the press conference after in the ring. Usually it's always, thank you, Al Heyman. That's good. Watson, that's his number one job is to remind fighters to say that. And he didn't say it in the presser. And there's one guy who wasn't buying into the propaganda. But, yeah, no, this the reason why it's not on Showtime is because Floyd probably could make an extra $200,000 putting it on pay-per-view. And it's worth destroying that kid's legacy to do that to him.
Hey, shout out to Michael Poe for his contribution with the Super Chat. Says, regarding the Murata Triple G fight, still in postponement for another time, but not cancelled. Yeah, shout out to Michael Poe. Thankfully, the fight will happen, apparently, but just not this year, man, which kind of sucks. But yeah, in regards to the Sean Porter, he got the heck out of there, man. And I'd be interested to see if something comes up more later on in regards to him and his father. And what type of relationship they still have, like how it's going, or how it morphed after that fight, because there's still something fishy there.
How much money do you guys think Jamie, announcer, would make, like a Sean Porter, or like the other guy, the snake? What's his name? Ex-fighter. Yeah, those guys
Mora.
like that. Yeah,
I bet you
the Mark Regos.
I bet you they get, Porter would get more just on marquee value. Depends. The more you put into it, like actually, the Spanish kid who does Mexico for HBO, he used to do it for HBO. Now he's working. For Showtime. Ruiz, or whatever his name. I can't remember.
Are you talking about Maris?
Oh yeah, Raul Marquez.
Oh, Showtime,
yes, Raul Marquez. He's doing well. Showtime pays him well because he's actually become a good announcer. He actually does it very well. He's become proven. I was told, honestly, a marquee fighter for one of those gigs can pull down anywhere from 15, 20 G's.
That's interesting.
Oh, wow,
and if they're doing other
stuff. The person told me that could have been an idiot, so I don't know.
Now, how much was Roy Jones and Mal Stewart and all those guys making back in the HBO's golden era?
Jeez, I wouldn't. Who would know that would be Chief. That would be his wheelhouse.
Yeah, because Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, apparently they were making beaucoup money from that.
Oh, yeah, they were paying Lampley millions.
Holy
He made
smokes.
millions. Oh, yeah.
There you have it, guys.
Over his career.
Cushy gig if you can get it.
Well, Michael Buffer was getting $500,000 to say, let's get ready to rumble.
That's insane, man. It started to get a little bit old afterwards when he was everywhere at some point in the late 90s. Baseball games, video
everywhere,
games. Yeah, it's like, come on, give it a rest. But hey, listen, a man's got to make his money. Don't besmirch them for that. As long as he's not out there prostituting people or something, hey, good for him. That's what I say.
I think Jimmy Lennon Jr. is better, though.
Usury.
Hey, but what about that Diamante fella with the long-ass hair? Now he's got it all in like roped up like a snake.
Bun.
Yeah, he's got it on the bun like a snake. I mean, that's... I hate when somebody has threads that long. Just looks disgusting, man. Looks like it smells bad, too.
He's a creepy dude, no?
Malignaggi just got hired, right? Over in England to do for Sky. Was it Sky? Yeah. He just got hired by Sky or Matchroom, one of them, for the English. I believe Sky.
Hey, did Bucho tell me that the Zone is going to be buying BT Sports?
I believe so. That's what I heard too. Like the Red Sox bought the Pittsburgh controlling ownership. I just found out today for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I thought was weird. But that's just some weird thing I just saw.
Man, that's jeez, Louis. Look, Discovery in talks with BT Sports to hijack sale to the Zone. What? Interesting. Some corporate shenanigans ensuing here. Discovery muscles in on sale of BT Sport. When they say Discovery, are they talking about the Discovery Channel or what the fuck?
Well, it could be a Discovery, meaning like they discovered it. Is that the way I?
It's some sort of corporation, apparently. Some sort of organization.
Oh, it could be a parent company. I don't know. What is the Zone the parent company, or are they owned by somebody?
Let's see. U.S. media group Discovery is in talks over a deal to partner with BT Sports in a move that would hijack the British television network £600 million, or is that euros, sale to sports streaming service The Zone. Discovery, which owns that Eurosport channels, has offered to create a joint venture with UK telecoms group BT. Yeah, okay.
Well,
so Discovery.
So they're the parent company. They're the parent company of The Zone.
Well, let me tell you, as a DAZN subscriber here in Canada, I would love for that to go to BT and DAZN to partner up. But if they can't or whatever, I'd say it is what it is. What do you want from me? Like Reckon I said, on the Discord, we have a lot of resources. A lot of resources. Don't you worry about that. All right, listen, fellas. The fight is going to be start. What time does the Tank Davis fight start? Tank Davis Cruz fight. Hold on a second.
You know, it's weird that they picked Los Angeles with the COVID. I just found that to be odd because you have to show your fucking papers to get into the building.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm curious if that's going to affect it. It is what it is. The African American community has the highest amount of unvaccinated, and I'm actually props to them because they don't trust the government. But so I'm just curious because that's obviously his target, the target audience for Tank Davis. So I'm curious if that affects it.
Yeah, but there's also ways of pirating that. So I'm pretty sure, or maybe they don't care, man. There was maybe they do. I don't know. That's a good point, Jimmy. I mean, who knows?
Oh no, they're testing. You believe me, they'll be checking them at the door, dude. You won't get in without it. You could have. I don't know about the pirated ones. I know they're trying to. Some people calling. One New York lawmaker wants to make it a federal offense.
Oh come on! Shouldn't it be a federal offense to be injecting people with things that aren't really that well tested? I don't know. That's just me.
Well, all you got to just say is you're an illegal alien. And they'll say, "Oh, sorry, here's $1,200."
Ah, come on,
American citizens have to. But it's true. You can come in illegally. They're not questioning your fucking status. That's the God's honest truth. I'm not trying to spread bullshit.
We're living in interesting times here. Interesting times. Well, listen, speaking of interesting, I think we're going to wrap it up here today because we do have that. By the way, the fight's at 8 p.m. The whole card starts at 8 p.m. So stay tuned for that one.
Sorry, is the COVID vaccine the mark of the beast? Because I already got it. I'm tripping out with what you just said.
Nah, it depends on which one. Depends on what you got, man. Depends on what you got. I can probably... Well, we'll talk off the air because with all this scene talk on the air, it's I don't know if it's good for us here on YouTube. But shout out to everybody who joined us. Everybody that called. Everybody that donated with the super chat. Shout out to you fellas. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like on the way out. Really appreciate that one as well. Really helps us out. Don't forget to check us out on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify. And shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Apology, man. Eparokua, JumpTube, Ed Perez, Heretic, Mayflower, Royal Family, Michael Poe, shout out to Michael, Mr. Coxey, and many more people, guys. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. We will catch you on the next one. All right? Especially, maybe, depending on what happens today, maybe we'll do another podcast on Monday to recap the events of the day. But anyway, shout out to